Hello, welcome back everybody to yet another daily cooking stream. Hope you're all having a beautiful Friday. If you're currently watching this live, it is 5 p.m. EST. So, as a little heads up, I'm exhausted today. I woke up at 7 a.m. to cast some professional competitive Brawlhalla, so I apologize if today's going to be a bit of a low energy day today. I hope everybody's been doing good. I see that we have Reggie in chat. I see that we have Trash Can Cat Mom, Kitsune, Dosky, Stupid Blobfish, Jack, Liam, all the classics. Hello, I hope you're all doing well. I missed all of you so much. I'm pretty excited about today's stream. We have quite a bit to talk about in regards to what we're doing and why we are doing it. Also, hello to Zio, hello to Dark25 Demon. Welcome on in. Hello, hello. Hopefully my hair looks okay today. Last stream it was like a little iffy, and it won't really fall in my face. The subject is food and drink. Pull up some whiskey. A nameless, that's not a bad idea. That would just be funny if on stream I just had like a glass of whiskey. That's what I did on my birthday stream with a little bit of wine. And I got a little silly off of one glass of wine because I have almost no alcohol tolerance. It was my 21st birthday stream. Also, hello to Dakota. Welcome in. Okay, everybody. Also, John Dahlia, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Everybody. So today, the reason why I think today's stream is important is because everything that I'm trying to do here with the cooking show, with the cooking stream, is to teach you how to cook at home. And part of what it means to cook at home is to understand and build up your home ecosystem. What do I mean by a home ecosystem? I mean that you know how to use up ingredients in different ways before they go bad, and then how to transform things that you've already made into something else, or you make food that reheats really easily. For those of you that may remember that we did on the Wednesday stream, we made some homemade tortillas, we had some salsa verde, and so what's a very nice thing to do with stale leftover tortillas is you can make tostadas. So we're going to take these tortillas, we're basically going to bake them. I don't like doing deep fried tostadas. We're going to bake them, we're going to get them really nice and crispy. We're going to make one of my favorite dishes called Tinga. And Tinga is essentially a shredded chicken breast that is cooked in a salsa. So we're making that with some tomatillos, we're making that with some chilies, and we're using up the leftover old salsa verde to actually then repurpose into the Tinga. Okay, then I also wanted to make a little bit of Pico de Gallo. Why? Because I had some leftover tomatoes. Pico de Gallo, for those of you that are unfamiliar, it's not really like a salsa, it's more like a relish than anything, but it's basically chopped up tomatoes, onions, cilantro, jalapenos, and lime juice all together, really delicious. And then we'll also be making a jalapeno crema. So we'll blend down some sour cream with some lime juice, with some jalapeno, with some cilantro, and it's gonna be really delicious. So let's have a look at our ingredients for today. Everybody, over here, I have this incredible assortment of different vegetables, as you may see. Okay, so we have some tomatoes. These are going to be the base of the Pico de Gallo. Also, hello, Turbo. Welcome on in. These are going to be the base of the Pico de Gallo. Okay, we have some limes. Guys, we're making Mexican food. Limes and lime juice specifically is going to be present in just about every single component. We have some tomatillos, and the tomatillos are going to be finding themselves in the Tinga. Oh, excuse me. These are going to be charred. We're going to get them nice and smoky, and we're going to blend them down again. And then I have this lovely assortment of chilies. Now, I don't have any jalapenos, but I have some serranos, and then I have some of these green chilies as well, like these small green ones, for a little bit of extra heat. So, the limes are going to be in everything. The tomatoes will be used for the Pico de Gallo, the tomatillos for the Tinga, and then the chilies will also find their way into basically everything for today. Okay, next. Everybody, let's talk about this really quickly. I have these tortillas. I have about 5 corn tortillas left that we did on Wednesday's stream. They're a little bit old, they're a little bit stale, and so instead of just using them for like another batch of tacos when they're a little bit rubbery, it's really nice to just take these and then make something new with them. In this case, we will be doing the tostadas. So we're going to be getting those nice and crispy. Also, excuse me, I have something stuck in my throat. I need to have a little bit of water. I hope I didn't throw my voice out. I have been talking today for already like 3 hours on camera, so I do apologize. To me, today may be a little bit more of a chill stream, but we'll see. Okay, and so for the Tinga, my friends, I have this big, beautiful whole chicken. We have this bad boy right here. So we're gonna break this down. We're going to make a chicken stock out of all of the different bones. We're going to make sure that we don't waste anything, and the breasts and the tenders we're going to be using today. We're going to cook them down, we're going to shred them up, they're gonna be saucy, they're gonna be delicious, they're gonna be tender and juicy, they're gonna be super yummy. And the legs, we will be using another time. We have no use for them today. So I'm going to teach you how to break down a chicken. I'll talk to you about the importance of buying whole chickens, why I love doing whole chickens at home, and how to use up all the different bones. And then additionally, going into the Tinga, it's not an essential component, but it is something that really flavors the shredded chicken. We have a little bit of this lovely chorizo. So we're going to maybe do about like half a stick of chorizo, and we're going to just crumble it up. We're going to fry it off, and all of that fat is just going to go into the salsa that we're building. It's going to be super, super delicious. Okay, sneaky paste, that's a little too comfortable. I'd appreciate if you didn't say that. Okay, and then let's talk about the actual seasonings that we'll be using. I have some cumin seeds here. I have some oregano as well. Okay, the cumin seeds we're going to grind up. The oregano is going to go into the tinga as well. Guys, cumin and oregano, just fundamental flavors in so much Mexican cooking. Okay, and then, of course, remember, we made our own cheese. We made our own cheese on Wednesday. This is a little bit of queso fresco, right? A little bit of fresh cheese that we made ourselves. And so the reason why I wanted to do the tostadas today is that you can garnish it with this fresh cheese. You can crumble some on top. It's going to be nice and creamy, and I just wanted another way to use it up for today. And so that's what we'll be doing with it. So everybody, once again, I just want to say, this is all about home cooking. Everything that I'm showing you here is I am building off of what I previously had in my fridge. This is the way that I want you to cook at home. Specifically, the thing that I am trying to fix is the way that people cook, in which they think of a dish and they go, oh, I want to make that thing. And they go out of their way and they buy every single ingredient to make that dish with. And then they have things that are sitting in the fridge and they go bad over a long period of time, and they just keep buying things that the kitchen isn't suited for. Everything that I want to show you guys how to do is how to cook at home. I want to show you how to build off of and create your own existing ecosystem. Okay, so you have to find a compromise between what you want to make and what you have available to you. It's going to save you money, and you'll be able to create a lot more meaningful food with less waste. Also, AG, thank you so much for the sub. Thank you, thank you. So, everybody, first step, we're going to make a chicken stock. We need some chicken stock for the tinga itself. We'll make the pico de gallo, we'll char the vegetables that we need for the tinga itself, and we'll make the jalapeno crema. And then, once the chicken stock is done, we'll make the tostadas, and we'll actually cook down the chicken. Is everybody excited? I want to please hear a nice resounding yes, chef. Everybody that's new, I don't know if we have any new people in chat at the moment, but I want to hear a nice yes, chef. Okay, and also before we begin, excuse me, for those of you that have not already done so, please check out the Patreon, type an exclamation mark Patreon in chat. I'm trying to get the grocery costs for these streams covered. We have a lot of expenses. I want to be able to improve this, get better cameras, that kind of thing. So please, 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 if you can, check out the Patreon, and if not, you know, subscribe, or you can type in also exclamation mark tip or donate. So everybody, let's begin. The first thing that we have to do is break down a whole chicken. So I'm going to show you and teach you all how to do exactly that. So let's head over to my cutting board that I already have set up with a paper towel under it so that it doesn't slip around or anything. And I will be using my petty knife. The reason I'm using my petty knife for this is it's because it's long and slender. Okay? This will allow me to really maneuver around the chicken itself. I don't want to use something like a chef's knife for breaking down a chicken, because when it comes to peeling the breast off from the bone, it gets a little bit clumsy. So you want to use something like a petty knife, or you just want to use a boning knife. And then if you guys also take a look at the same time, I currently have my pressure cooker pot. I love doing my chicken stocks in a pressure cooker. In a home setting, they save a lot of time. They save a lot of time, they make my life significantly easier. So I have some water. The amount of water doesn't really matter. The more bones you have, the more chicken pieces you're using, the more you'll need. But before we actually get into breaking down the chicken, the first thing that I am going to do, at least, we're gonna flavor the chicken stock. So everybody, I really, really like intentionally keeping my chicken stocks pretty bland. The reason for this is because you don't know later on what you're going to be using this chicken stock for. If you're making a soup with it, if you're making a sauce with it, and if you were to salt and season it now, by the time it reduces, it might be overly salty. So I don't salt my chicken stocks purely to keep it like a blank canvas. Okay, so we're going to start with a little bit of onion, because the allium flavor goes well with everything. In every single cuisine, everybody has onions. So I just have one yellow onion. I'm just going to go ahead and cut off the top and the bottom of it. Just take that off. And then really, really quickly, everybody, I'm just going to cut it in half like so. Right through the middle. Okay, and the reason we're cutting it right through the middle is so that it can be really, really nice and easy to fish out after. We don't want to chop these onions. Okay, if we were to chop these onions, right, and we were to really, really cut these down, they're going to make the stock cloudy, they're going to break up, and they're going to overcook. I promise you that in the process of pressure cooking, we're going to extract all of the sweetness out of this onion. So, we're going to do one whole onion in there. You can use as much or as little as you would like. If you have some scraps, this is also a nice way to use them up. Traditionally, for the French stock, you would use carrots, you would use celery, you would use onions. I just have the onions to really get rid of at this moment. So 1 whole onion. Okay. Ooh. Lovely. And now let's get another really nice aromatic component to have. We're going to have a little bit of bay leaf. Also, hello to Kyo Desu. Hello, hello. We're gonna get some bay leaves. Everybody, once again, bay leaves, they're just an herb that you see represented in so many different cuisines. You can't go wrong with a couple of bay leaves. We're just going to do around this many. It's not exact. Guys, this isn't a science. You just go by vibes. The more bay leaves, the more of a bay leaf it's going to taste like. Okay. So a few bay leaves going inside into my pressure cooker pot. And then I also have 1 old garlic clove that I'm going to get rid of as well. This we don't even have to do anything crazy with. We're just going to give it a little smash. Jack, we can use shallots. You can use shallots if you have old ones to get rid of. The reason why I wouldn't typically go out of my way to use a shallot in something like a chicken stock is because they can be a little bit expensive. But you can absolutely use shallots. Okay, so a garlic clove going inside. Lovely. And then, everybody, I don't know if you remember, but a few streams ago, I have this 1 chicken backbone from the time we were spatchcocking a chicken. This is why it's really nice to keep chicken bones around. We have this leftover chicken bone, now let's make a stock out of it. So I'm also going to be putting this leftover chicken backbone, right? This wasn't enough bones to make a stock with last time, but since we're making a stock in today, this is what I mean about building up a kitchen ecosystem. Save your chicken bones, save your meat bones, and then you get to do stuff like this with them. Okay? When we were doing the spatchcock chicken, that's what we did. So I'm gonna just go ahead and grab a glove. I'm gonna glove up because we're about to get started with the chicken. I'm just gonna yoink it out of there. Does anybody have any questions so far about this process? Also, hello to Lego Batman fan. Hello, hello. So everybody, the beauty of a stock like this is that this is a stock that you want to repurpose and use for a lot of different things. We're not using all the chicken stock with the Tinga today, we just need a little bit, but because we're working with a whole chicken and we're getting those bones out of it, we have this incredible byproduct in the form of fresh homemade chicken stock. One of the best things that you can do is get into the habit of making homemade chicken stock. Because store-bought chicken stock is basically useless. Boxed chicken stock is, I think, quite frankly, inedible. Instead of using boxed chicken stock and you want an instant alternative, I would much more highly recommend for you to get something like a powdered bouillon, or maybe better than bouillon, but boxed chicken stock just kind of sucks. Also, Robin, you can leave the onion skin on. It's just a little bit dirty, so you would have to wash it beforehand. But actually, a lot of people like to keep the onion skin on because it tends to color your broth a really, you know, just a really nice pretty shade of like, I don't know, beige. It just makes it nice and golden. Okay, so everybody, let's get started with our chicken. Also, Jack, the general rule of thumb is just do enough to cover the chicken. You basically just want your bones covered, okay? There's no exact science to this. So, everybody, I have 1 whole chicken. I want everybody, as much as possible, if this is something that you are willing to do and put the time into, I really recommend that you start breaking down whole chickens. Whole chickens are typically cheaper than buying already cut up chickens. And then when you have a whole chicken, the beauty is that you get the bones. You get the bones, and then the bones are an excellent byproduct with which to make homemade stock. If you're ever going out of your way to buy chicken bones to make stock, I feel like that's a problem. Instead, the thing that I want all of you to get comfortable in the routine of being at home is to do whole chickens. And so, Jack, we're gonna get to it. We're gonna be pressure cooking this. I'm gonna pressure cook this at high for about 50 minutes or so. So, everybody, are you ready to learn how to break down a whole chicken? I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef. Please and thank you. So, 1 whole chicken that I've had sitting on a sheet tray. All right, there he is. He's hanging out. Here's what we got to do. First thing we're going to do, my friends, is we're going to take off the legs. Okay, the legs are going to be really, really easy. These are the easiest part. You can already basically see how they're naturally detaching and falling off of the bird. Okay, so here's the first thing we got to do. We got to make an incision. We're just going to make an incision to separate the leg skin here. Okay, we're going to flip it over, breast side down now. We're going to pop out the leg. We're going to pop it out of the joint. We're never cutting through bone when we debone a chicken. All I'm doing is I'm following the natural grooves that are created. You can see the bone is already popping out, right? This is your 1 whole chicken leg. This is your leg and your thigh, your drum and your thigh all together. okay? And that's it. That's all there is to it. It just comes off. You're just following the natural groove of the meat. This is your thigh and this is your leg. And then I'm going to show you how to break it down into even smaller pieces after. That's all that there is to it. That's how easy it is to break down a chicken. Well, at least this first step is. The most difficult part is going to be getting the breast off, but I'll walk you through that as well. So, everybody, same exact idea here. We're making some incisions. We're separating the leg from the breast. This is the leg, this is the breast. We're making the incisions. We flip it over on this side, okay? And then with a chicken, because it's tender enough, you can just snap off that leg like so. And then you can just peel the whole thing off. And there you go, my friends. That's it. That's your chicken legs that have already come off. Now, what do we do with this? We have the rest of this carcass to go through. Okay, we have the two breasts and we have the wings attached still. The wings, I don't typically cook at home. The wings I like just putting into my stocks. Some people may consider that a little wasteful. You can just keep it. So, everybody grab the chicken by the wing. If you want to take the wings off, grab it by the wing and flip it over on the other side. All you're going to do is just make an incision using the tip of your knife and separate the skin from where the wing meets the breast. Okay, that's all you got to do. Just make an incision all the way around, split the skin, and then you can just pop out the wing like so. And then all of the breast meat is still kept inside, and look at that. That's one chicken wing that comes off so easily. We're never, I have hair in my mouth. We're never really, cutting through bone. We're not snapping any bones. We're just separating the joints. Okay, let's do the same exact thing to the other wing. We're going to take it, and we're just going to flip it over. And we're just going to make a nice little incision here. Okay? And we're going to take it, right? And then we're just going to pop it out and slice it out. And that's your wings that have just come off. Okay, the wings I'm also going to be putting into the pot at the moment. The wings I like to make chicken stock with. Although you don't have to. You can use them for whatever you want. You can keep them. Okay, everybody. Also, welcome on in, K1K. Welcome, welcome. Okay, everybody. So, let's get the chicken breasts off. For today, I don't actually need this chicken breast skin. I don't need any of this chicken breast skin. So I'm just going to peel it off just to make this process a little bit easier. But you can also do this with the skin on. But because we're going to be basically doing a poached and shredded chicken, we don't need that skin. It's just going to get soggy. I'm just going to tear it off right now. Okay, and this, I don't even have to tell you how to do. Just follow the natural lines. All right, there you go. We've now exposed the breast here. Here's the two breasts. Everybody, you need to understand the anatomy of a chicken breast. You have this center bone running through them, separating each breast, and then under it you have the breast plate. So all that we really need to do right now is we need to go on either side, right? We need to go on either side of this breastbone that's running right through the center. So we're making an incision, but we're not cutting through all the way. We're just using the tip of a knife, and we're making an incision all the way down the length of it, and then we're going to make another incision following basically the wishbone, and we're going to cut all the way through to the end. And now, everybody, you don't even need your knife. You can use your knife for this, but I'm just going to use my thumb. Take a look, take a look, take a look. I'm just using my thumb, and you can already see the breast and the bone under it is already popping out. You can use your knife to scrape it off like so, or you can just use your thumbs. Just separate it. Everybody, there you go. This is your chicken tender that sits under the breast. And then this is your breast portion itself. And this is what we'll be using for today. Okay? So you can just scrape it off just like so. Really nice and easy. And then we're just going to come back around here. And we're going to slice. We're just going to slice it all off. Really, really easy. And guys, this takes a little bit of practice. You're not going to get it perfectly on your first try. You're going to end up wasting a little bit of the meat, and that's okay. Nobody's going to be perfect at this the first time around. But I promise you, with a little bit of repetition, you're going to get perfect at this, and you're going to build a really nice anatomical understanding of this. So, there you go. This is your breast with the tender still attached to it. Skin off. Also, welcome on in, Dennis. Lovely to have you. Let's do the same exact thing to the other breast. We're going to start by making an incision parallel to the breastbone, like so. Then we're just going to go down. We're going to make a horizontal cut this way. And then we're just going to use our thumbs just to separate all of this. Yes, exactly, Kitsune. That is the chicken tender. Okay, so take a look, everybody. Here's the breastplate. Here's the chicken tender. Here's the chicken breast coming off now. Nice and easy. We're just getting it off from the carcass. Okay? And then we're just going to use a knife here to finish up the job. Okay? Just like so. It's separating. It wants to come out. You just have to follow the natural lines. Does anybody have any questions about this process or why we're doing this? Oop. Why am I landing into some difficulty? Oh, because that's where the wing was. I see. There we go. That's it, everybody. That's another another chicken breast gone. The only thing is, I accidentally cut some of the cartilage that was sitting under it. I don't really need this portion. That's another chicken breast gone. And now, everybody, guess what? We have the neck. We have the backbone of the chicken. All I'm going to do is just make this a little bit more manageable for my pressure cooker pot. So we're going to separate. We're going to separate it, just like so. And then we're just going to tear the backbone off. And again, I'm just doing this to make it a little bit more manageable and just to fit this into the pot a little bit easier. So here's the neck and the breast, and then here's the backbone. I'm just going to put that into the pot. And that's it. That's all that there is to it. Everybody, we just broke down a whole chicken. Nice and easy. Last thing I'm going to show you how to do. Everybody, separating a leg and a thigh. This is the thigh, this is the leg. Look what you got to do. Look at this fat line. You see this fat line? Follow this fat line. And that's it. You've separated your leg and thigh. You see this leg and thigh? Take this fat line. Look at this fat line. You see this line? That's all you've got to do. Nice and easy all the way through. And now take a look, my friends. We have 2 thighs, we have 2 legs, and we have 2 beautiful skin-off chicken breasts with the chicken tender sitting under them. And then in our pot is all of the bones and all of the byproduct. The last thing that I want to do, actually, I have these chicken feet as well that we're going to be putting in. We got to cut off the nails because they're kind of unsightly and kind of gross. I don't assume you really want chicken nails. Okay, so this is just something that people typically do. A chicken only has 2 tenders in it. Yes, absolutely, majestic land whale. So cut the nails off, get those done. And also, I saw a previous question. Kitsune has asked, why is there not much blood? Well, blood is in the veins, in like the circulatory, right? And so when you kill a chicken, you drain it of its blood, right? The blood isn't actually within the muscles, it would be in the veins, and whenever an animal does get killed, they hang it upside down. The only thing I want to do, we have like this slight like nasty bit here on the chicken foot that I just want to get rid of. Okay, 2 chicken feet into the pot. And everybody, that is all that there is to it. I'm going to show you the pot, and then I'm going to talk about how to actually cook it. So, everybody, we're making a homemade chicken stock. Why are we making a homemade chicken stock? Well, it's because we have this whole chicken and we want to be able to use all of the bones and the byproducts. We don't want to throw out the chicken bones because they have so much flavor. Store-bought chicken stock has nothing on homemade chicken stock. This is the best way to really level up your home cooking game. So in here, I have the backbone, I have the neck bone, I have my 2 feet, my wings, okay? As well as some onions, some garlic, and some bay leaves. I am intentionally not salting this so that if I wanted to make a sauce out of this, if I wanted to do anything else with it, okay, I don't have to really worry about the salinity of it. I'm intentionally keeping the stock like a blank canvas because this, you don't know what you're going to be using this for. Are the feet basically like additional bones, or do they add something different? Robin, they just have a lot of collagen and they are bones. They're just additional bones. They have a lot of collagen. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to put this on high pressure in my pressure cooker for about 50 minutes or so. I fill this up with like a couple of quarts of water. I'm just going to take it over the top, make sure everything is nicely covered. And I'm going to put this on high pressure. I'm not going to show you this because this is just happening in my electronic pressure cooker. And we're setting it on for 50 minutes. Really quickly, let me just get that done, everybody. Okay, and that's it. That's all that there is to it. Will you boil it down to concentrate and freeze into cubes? Oh, I've done that before. Yes, absolutely. That's a really nice way of storing chicken stock. So, everybody, as a little recap session, we have accomplished one thing so far. We had a whole chicken, and we broke it down into all of its individual pieces. We took all of the bones, all the byproducts, we took an onion, we took some garlic and bay leaves, and we put it into the pressure cooker on high pressure for 50 minutes. We need a homemade chicken stock for the tinga itself. Okay? Also, hi, Evo. It's lovely to see you. Hello, hello. Also, Kwang, yes, you can. So people do like roasted bones, but it's not necessarily a better product. It's different. If you want a very light, clean tasting stock, then you just want to basically have a boiled stock. If you want to get like some of that like charred roasted flavor inside of your stock, then you can separately roast and char your bones. It's actually a complete matter of intention and individual preference. So it is a potential technique that you can employ, but it's only if that is something that you want to do. So the rest of this chicken right now, I'm just going to keep it in my fridge. I'm going to keep it nice and cold. I have no use for it at the moment. And then everybody, because we are cooking at home, I will quickly be washing off my knife and putting away my cutting board. We're cooking at home, we have to stay nice and clean. Otherwise, you know, everything in the kitchen is just going to become a mess. I made sure that my sink was clear. I made sure that my dishwasher is ready to be filled with dirty dishes. That is the way that I want you all to cook at home. If your sink is full, if your dishwasher is dirty and full, take the time, do the dishes before you actually start to cook. So, I'm going to just take a second, and I'm gonna clean off my knife really quickly. I'm gonna put my cutting board away into the dishwasher. Does anybody have any questions for me while I wash the dishes? And then we'll be able to go through all the other components for today. I'm excited. I'm really, really excited for this tinga. Okay. My knife, just gonna wash that down, scrub that bad boy down with a bunch of soap. And again, everybody, I'm doing this on camera because I still need this knife. We have other things that I gotta cut. I don't wanna leave this knife dirty. I just want to get this done now and ahead of time. Okay, excellent. So, anybody have any questions at the moment for me that I can address? And I'm just going to take my cutting board and throw it into the dishwasher as I have no more use for it at this moment in time. Lovely. Ow, my leg. That hurt. Okay. Hi, everybody. So, we've started on the chicken stock. We have a lot of components that we need to make today. We will be doing a tinga, which is going to be this really, really delicious home Mexican shredded chicken. We'll have some spices going in there, we'll have some tomatillos, we'll have some leftover salsa verde. Everything that I'm doing today is done for the reason of using up leftovers. I had leftovers in my fridge that I wanted to get rid of, and I thought that this would be a really nice way to do so. I have leftover homemade queso fresco, I have leftover homemade tortillas, I have leftover cilantro, I have leftover limes and tomatoes, and so what better way to use up all of this than to make a tinga with it? So we're gonna have this juicy, delicious, succulent shredded chicken. We will also be having, a little pico de gallo, so this little relish of tomatoes and onions, and we'll also be making a jalapeno crema. So, everybody, let's begin. Let's get started. Let's head on back over to my cutting board really quickly. Let's start on the pico de gallo. So a pico de gallo, once again, everybody, is essentially like a little salad. It's like a little relish. It's going to be finely diced tomato. It's going to be finely diced red onion. Anytime I use tomatoes in a raw form, chat, what do I do? What do I do with raw tomatoes? What do we always do with tomatoes time and time again on the stream? What have you seen me do over and over and over again? We're gonna salt them. That's right, everybody. We will be salting these tomatoes. We're going to salt them in advance. These are raw tomatoes, not cooked tomatoes. We're going to be salting them in advance to get rid of all the excess liquid. Everybody, these are plum tomatoes. Tomatoes are full of water, they're full of moisture, they're full of liquid. If you were to have a perfectly seasoned pico de gallo with all of the different ingredients and then you let it sit with the salt, all of the water from the tomatoes are going to come out and they're going to make the whole thing soggy. You're going to lose a lot of the flavor, you're going to lose a lot of the seasonings. So we salt it in advance and then we get rid of that excess liquid in order to stop that phenomenon from taking place. So let's get started. Tomatoes. 2 plump tomatoes. Here's all I'm gonna do. I want a nice fine dice. I don't mean a small dice. I actually want a very, very fine dice this time. You need a really sharp knife to do this, to accomplish this task. Here's what we're gonna do. We're going to cut this tomato in half. Then we're going to take out the core of the tomato, just like so, by making a couple of diagonal incisions. Do the same exact thing to my other tomato half. Cut out the core with a couple of diagonal incisions because the core has a very woody texture, especially when it's raw. Okay? So cut off the top of it like so. Okay, everybody. Remember, what is the way that I taught you all how to slice tomatoes? First of all, we're not going to be chopping. We're not using a vertical force. You're going to end up crushing the tomatoes and squeezing all the seeds out. No, we do not take out the seeds. We do not take out the seeds because I think taking out the seeds is incredibly wasteful. We're just going to get rid of the excess liquid. Everybody, we're slicing it from base to tip. I want you all to take a look. Here's what happens if I slice from my tip of my knife to the base of my knife. Look what happens. It sticks to my knife. A little snack. It sticks to my knife that way. The consequence of it sticking to your knife is it becomes very unpleasant to cut. You want to go from the largest surface area to the thinnest surface area on your knife. And so, look what happens now when we slice it. The tomato, well, I didn't slice through all the way, that's on me. We're doing nice, thin slices all the way with a really, really sharp knife. But everything is staying intact and nothing is sticking to your knife. That's how you stay nice and organized. And I mean thin slices. Okay? And then the last one, you can just do it like that. That's okay. So, take a look. All of your slices. All right? There's a whole lot of taza. Jack, you're not asking too many questions. You're perfect. You can use any kind of tomato that you would like. I'm using plum tomatoes because these are what I have around at the moment, and they were really, really cheap. You can use cherry tomatoes. You can use beefsteak tomatoes. The only thing is typically with tomatoes, the bigger they are, the wetter they tend to be. With cherry tomatoes, you might not even necessarily need to do the salting step because they have a lot less liquid proportionally speaking. Okay, thin slices all the way through. Okay? Thin. I mean thin. I want a very, very small dice on this tomato today. I mean it. Because this is supposed to be a garnish. I don't want big pieces of tomato to be falling off of my tostada. You want very, very thin, teeny tiny slices so that we can get thin, teeny tiny cubes of tomato by the end of this. Is that clear? Can I please get a yes, chef? Thin. There you go. There you go. Excellent. Lovely. And now, let's go ahead and cube it up, everybody. We've cut these slices. We've basically fanned out this tomato. And now, same exact idea, base to tip, very, very small, teeny tiny. Look how perfect these are. Look how little my cubes are. Okay? That's the kind of cube that I want on this. Because I want this to be a garnish. I want this to not fall off of my tostada. And in order to do that, for all of it to like really, really come together, you have to make it small. No big pieces of tomato here. And now I'm okay with some of them sticking to my knife. I'm totally okay with that. I'm just trying to get the rest of these processed up. All right, look at that. Look at all these little cubes of tomato. Again, everybody, we're taking great care in doing this. Trust me, trust the process, be patient, go as slow as you need to get these kinds of cubes of tomato. I don't want to see you do this with big cubes of tomato. You will not have my ideal texture Pico de Gallo. If you want a big tomato onion salad, then of course be my guest. But that is not my intention for today. I want this to be a garnish. I need these beautiful, teeny tiny cubes. Tiny, like so. What are my thoughts on air fryers? Jack, they are glorified convection ovens that take up a lot of countertop space. Made with cheap plastic. I do not like them. I detest them. But they're cheaper than convection ovens, so what can you do? Okay. Dakota, you're allergic to tomatoes? That is a tragedy. I'm sorry to hear that. So we're just going through all of these one by one, everybody. Again, small cubes. Take your time. Take your time. Take your time. Okay. So an air fryer is not just a small oven that's more energy efficient. An air fryer is a convection oven. And a convection oven is basically an oven plus a fan. The fan helps to evenly circulate air all the way around it and gives you a lot more even browning. Whereas traditional ovens, they tend to have hot and cool zones in the air temperature. But a convection oven gets all the way up and around the food and makes the whole oven like a lot more even in temperature. I hope that answers your question. So air fryers are just rebranded convection ovens. That's all that they are. Once again, guys, nice, small, fine, beautiful. Guess what? That's all of our tomatoes now beautifully sliced up to make a gorgeous, gorgeous pico de gallo. Scraping all of it up using a handy dandy bench scraper and not a knife. Okay, so everybody, look at these tomatoes. Here's the goal now. We have to hit it with what looks like too much salt. The goal is not just to season these tomatoes, the goal is to use the salt functionally and extract all the liquid. You can already see how wet, look how wet these tomatoes are, okay? All of that water is going to get leached out by the salt and then we're gonna strain it off. So we need too much salt at this stage. We're doing 2 big pinches. Look at how much salt that is. If you were to taste these tomatoes now, you would say that's way too salty. But I promise you, a lot of that liquid is going to then, a lot of the salt is going to penetrate the tomato, evenly season it, and the rest of the excess salt is then going to dissipate in the tomato liquid. So just toss it around, don't crush it. Don't crush your tomato. Chat, did we crush your tomato? I want to hear a no, chef, please and thank you. We don't crush your tomato, we're just scooping it up and we're distributing the salt. Taste it. Taste it right now. I want you all to taste it. Too salty, uncomfortably salty, that's what you're looking for. And now you're just gonna set it aside behind you for like 30 to 40 minutes or so. Okay? And look, you can already see, look at how much liquid is pooling. In 30 to 40 minutes of it just sitting with the salt, it's going to pool that much more liquid. So put it behind us, out of sight and out of mind. That's all that there is to it, everybody. You do this step. I promise you, your pico de gallo, it's not going to be soggy. It's going to be perfect. We're not going to do the rest of the pico de gallo. At the moment, we'll just be finishing it off later. We don't really have to do the rest of it at this moment. We have to now think about the other components. So I'm just wiping off my cutting board, making sure it's not too wet or anything. What happens if I put it in a strainer? So Robin, we will be straining it out. The reason we don't put it on a strainer immediately is that we need the tomatoes to be immersed in salt. If we immediately put it over the strainer, all of the salty liquid would drip out too early, and then there would be less salt to pull out some of the moisture. By putting it in a bowl first, we're submerging it in the salt, letting the salt do its thing, and then we're straining it out afterwards. I hope that answers your question. I've also just run out of gloves. I gotta go grab another box of gloves. I've just realized I was underprepared. Ugh. I go through so many gloves on the stream. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. I am back. I've returned to the land of living. Okay, so next, we have to actually think about our components for the tinga itself. So we want to do what we do best, everybody, which is we want to char some of the components. We want to char them. We want to add some smokiness into this whole dish. So let's just quickly go on over here. Right? I'm just going to take out a little sheet tray, a little aluminum sheet tray. Okay? Everybody, this is one of the most important flavors in all of Mexican cooking. The idea of the char, the idea of making something really, really nice and intentionally burnt to make things a little bit smoky. We're going to be doing this under a broiler where we will be essentially burning the skin of the tomatillos and some of the chilies for the tinga. My mind just completely blanked for a second. Thank you, Jack. That's very sweet of you. Okay, so first thing that we're going to do, everybody, we're going to just take our sheet tray and we're going to line it with some foil. Okay, we're just going to go to the sheet tray and we're going to line it with some foil. Let me get that done right now really quickly. I've run out of foil. Uh-oh. Is there really no more foil in here? This big thing of cardboard? Look how thick this cardboard is. Okay. We will not be using any foil for this. After all, I will instead just have to clean my sheet tray off, which is a bit annoying. It's a little bit cumbersome, but the foil, it's not essential. It's going to be fine without the foil. It's going to be fine. It's just going to be annoying. Okay. So, back to this. I've run out of gloves. I've run out of foil. Chat, is it over? Also, thank you for the reminder, Evil. Thank you, thank you. Okay. Let's start by cutting up some tomatillos. And also, everybody, you want to take a broiler and you want to set it onto high. Alternatively, you don't have to use a broiler for this. You can just, with like a carbon steel, like with a comal, you can just heat up like any like flat, solid metal pan up super, super high. We're going to be charring these vegetables. But for my sake, I'm going to be taking the broiler and I'm going to be setting it onto high. All right. Once again, I'm going to be gloving up for this. And for this, I think I'm going to be using my smaller knife. I'm going to be using my petty knife for this. It's going to make my life a little bit easier overall. Just cleaning up my station, getting my sheet tray out. And we're going to get all of this stuff ready for charring. So, petty knife on hand. Ooh, didn't fully wash that off, did I? Come on, buddy. Off you go. Thank you. And that beeping is my pressure cooker, having successfully built up the pressure that it needs. So, wrong shot. My apologies. Back to the tomatillos. So, everybody, these are tomatillos. Some people say that you can't eat these raw. Some people say that they're poisonous or toxic, or at least they'll give you a bit of a stomachache. I have seen traditional Mexican uses in which people eat raw tomatillos. They're just not particularly tasty for me. So, this is the basis of so many different salsas, so many different salsa verdes in Mexican cooking. I love tomatillos. You see this in pozole verde, okay? These are tomatillos. They're really, really delicious. They're really similar to tomatoes, but this is the basis of a lot of different green salsas. We're going to prep this the same exact way. We peeled off the leaves. We washed these thoroughly. All we're going to do, chat, we're just going to take these and we're going to cut them in half, and then we're going to just take that woody core out of the tomatillos. Just like so. Nice and easy. Right? Anybody can do this. Just go through your tomatillos one by one. Cut them in half. Cut them in half right through the root. Cut them in half. And we're going to char these, everybody. We're going to get these things nice and smoky. We're going to burn the outside of it, and then it's going to stew down with the chicken, and we're going to blend it up and make the most beautiful sauce out of it, okay? We're going to blend it up with the homemade chicken stock that we're doing right now. We're going to blend it up with some of the chorizo fat as well, with some garlic, with some onions. Everybody, this tinga is gonna be a really, really serious deal. Okay, we're not messing around. We're gonna have so much flavor into this thing. So, one by one through all of these different tomatillos. Okay. Lovely. And if you smell these, the smell, what does the smell reminding me of? It almost reminds me of a persimmon. I don't know why. I don't know how related they are. They actually don't look that different from a persimmon. Chat, can somebody Google and confirm the relation between tomatillos and persimmons? But that is what these things remind me of. Okay. And the added benefit, by the way, of cutting these in half is that we get like a really nice flat surface on the tomatillos themselves, so they sit flat on my sheet tray. So there we go. Everybody, take a look. Sheet tray full of tomatillos. And now, let's get some of the chilies going that we need for this. I want some heat. I want some flavor. So, we're going to do, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to need a Serrano or two for the Pico de Gallo itself. And I have some of these green chilies. I want some heat. I want a really, really nice spicy tinga. Okay? So the Serrano we're adding for a little bit of extra vegetal flavor. And these are two green arbol chilies. These are going to be pretty, pretty spicy. And the Serrano is going to be a little bit less spicy. The Serrano is going to be a little bit more inconsistent. We already have a salsa verde, the salsa verde that we did on Wednesday, everybody. Basically has a lot of these similar components. It has cilantro, it has a bunch of chilies. We're going to be making the tinga out of this as well. So this is a really, really nice way to use up that leftover salsa. And we're basically fortifying it with some more tomatillos, with some more chilies today, because the salsa that I made, it doesn't have too much heat or anything. But it's a really, really delicious salsa. I just have a lot of it and I wanted to get rid of it. Okay, so these two green chilies, I'm gonna cut the heads of them off. I don't think I want to necessarily de-seed them. All I want to do though is just cut them in half so that they sit nice and flat on my sheet tray. I'm just using 2 of these things. I think that's going to be plenty of heat. I don't want this to be too spicy, but I think it's just going to end up being really spicy overall. The Serrano itself, I don't really care for its heat at the moment, so I'm going to take the seeds out. I just want it for its vegetal flavor. So just take it, and then you can just pick it out with your thumb. You know, just get the majority of it out or so. Preferably not using your raw hands, because I'm eventually, chat, make a note of this now. I'm going to touch my eye eventually. That's fine. We can keep some of the seeds in. We can actually just keep some of the seeds in. I want this to be pretty spicy. We're going to keep some of it in. It's fine. It's mostly just to get rid of some excess heat if you don't want this too spicy. Okay. So 2 of the green arbals, and then 1 of the Serrano chilies, my Serrano peppers. I'm using my bench scraper once again just to clean off my cutting board. Now, what else do we actually want to try? What else do we want to get nice and smoky? I'm going to grab a couple of garlic cloves. I'm going to grab a few garlic cloves for some of that delicious roasted garlic flavor. We'll also be frying up some of the garlic, but I want some charred garlic separately. So as for the garlic and onion, some is going to get basically cut up and some of it is going to get charred. So there we go, 3 garlic cloves. And these bad boys, by the way, we can keep skin on. We're keeping these skin on because when it chars, it's going to protect it from burning too much and becoming really, really acrid in flavor. And then it's going to peel off really, really easily once we're done with it. Okay, what else do we want to char here? Do I want to char a little bit more onion? I think I want to char up a little bit more onion. Okay, I have a quarter red onion that I have left over. Guess what? Chat, we're going to char up this onion. As is, quarter of an onion. Only thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut off the root end of it. And there you go. So, everybody, let's do a little recap. These are all of the different components that you and I are going to be charring. Okay. Oh. Did you just see what I did? Close call. I almost just touched my eyeball. Okay. So, we have all of my different components on the sheet tray. This is all going to be in service of the tinga. These are tomatillos. These are my green arbol chilies. This is my serrano, this is my garlic, and this is my quarter of a red onion. We're going to burn these. We're going to char them into oblivion. We're going to get them nice and smoky, and I feel it in my eye. I ended up touching and grazing my eye slightly. We're going to put these all under the broiler, and we're going to get the outside of all of this stuff nicely and beautifully blackened. Because we want to get that smokiness. Everybody, that smokiness, that burnt flavor, it is essential to Mexican cooking. You don't have to do this step, by the way. If you don't want that smokiness, if you don't feel like you want to go through all this effort, you can just do a boiled salsa for the tinga itself today. You can just do that, and it will be fine. Is it going to be perfect? Is it going to have that smokiness? No. Is it going to be fine and delicious still at the end of the day? Yes, absolutely. Right? Also, Dasky, thank you so much for stopping by. Really, really appreciate you. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your Friday. Get a little sip in. Get some more water. I am a little dehydrated. Okay, everybody, so we have a few components that we still need to make. We're going to be doing a jalapeno cilantro crema, or in this case, just a Serrano crema. Ow, my eyeball. We need to finish up the Pico de Gallo, and we need to do all of the different prep for the tinga itself. So we have to chop up some onions, we have to chop up some garlic, and then it's all going to be blended down, and it's all going to be delicious by the end of it. Yeah, New York water robin. I can just drink it straight out of my faucet, straight out of my tap. Okay, so I'm just taking a second. I'm thinking, what else can I be doing at the moment? And then, of course, later on, we do need to make the tostadas themselves. So we're going to be like drying out some corn tortillas in the oven. It's going to be great. It's all going to work out nicely and beautifully. Okay. I don't want to rinse my eye. It will be okay. My eyeball will make do. Country girls make do. Okay. So, chat. We gotta start taking the chorizo out of the skin as well, because we'll have some chorizo going into the tinga. I think we can do that at the moment. That will be good for us to do at the moment. We need to do the rest of the prep for the Pico de Gallo. And we need to do the rest of the stuff with the tinga itself, and we have to make the jalapeno crema. I just want to babysit what's happening in the broiler at the moment so that it doesn't like char too much. Everybody has a general broiler safety tip. You don't want to walk away from the kitchen. Things can set on fire. Also, welcome on in to Kapusta Open. Kapusta Open. Is that Russian? Are you saying cabbage, kapusta? Because that is cabbage in Russian. Okay, you know what? Let's do the rest of the prep that we need for today. So, everybody, back on over to the cutting board. Nice and clean. Okay, let's just clean it up. Let's get rid of some of the excess seeds. So, here is some of the prep work that we need to get done. By we, I mean you and me. I have this red onion. We need some onion. Also, Kapusta Open, Russian was my first language. I have this red onion, everybody. The red onion, we're going to feature a little bit in the jalapeno crema itself, or the Serrano Crema. We're going to saute some of it for the tinga. Okay, and then we're going to have half red onions worth in the Pico de Gallo. My ratio that I like doing, onion skin. The ratio that I like doing, by the way, for Pico de Gallo is roughly 2 plum tomatoes to about half a red onion. You don't want too much onion because it becomes like really overpowering and overpoweringly pungent. But I'm going to also show you how we treat it to stop it from becoming too pungent. So here's what we're going to need to do. We're going to take the head of the onion and we're going to cut it off. And we're going to keep this part, the root of the onion, nice and intact. So half of this onion is going to go towards Pico de Gallo, a quarter of it is going to go towards the tinga, and then a quarter of it is going to go towards the jalapeno crema itself. So we're going to cut it down. You see this big half of the onion? Well, actually maybe the small half. I'm thinking, how much do I want to use for the Pico de Gallo? I didn't cut this perfectly in half. Big half or small half, chat? Let's do the small half. Let's do the big half for the Pico de Gallo. Okay, for the Pico de Gallo itself, I'm actually just going to set that behind me. I have no use for this at the moment. Okay, the rest of this onion. Everybody, now that we've cut it in half, we can easily peel it up. We can just easily peel up the whole thing. Okay, and then, we're going to cut this into a quarter. And so some of this is going to be for the jalapeno crema itself, or the Serrano Crema, excuse me. For the Serrano Crema, we don't actually have to chop it up or anything. We just have to chunk it up because it's going to go into the blender. I also, by the way, I hear my broiler popping. I hear my vegetables that I put under the broiler popping. Again, we're looking to get them nicely and beautifully charred. So chill out. What's going on with you guys? Relax. Oh my God. Look how quick that was. That's just because we preheated the broiler. Wow, look at the char that we got on these vegetables. Honestly, that's basically enough char for me. I just want to maybe move my tomatillos around a little bit. My chilies here, my chilies are perfect. I don't want to push my chilies any further. I am just going to give this a rotation and I'm going to put it back under the broiler just to get some more color on my tomatillos and then be done with it. The goal isn't to cook these through. The goal isn't to get them soft. The only goal that I have at the moment is just to get them charred enough for us to have that beautiful smokiness inside of our tinga. So Jack, you said, is it true that burnt food is unsafe to eat? And the answer is a little bit complicated. You're talking about burnt things and carcinogens. If burnt food is unsafe to eat, then we have to talk about like all of barbecuing, all of grilling as being innately unsafe. And I think that's a rabbit hole that nobody wants to go down. But also live a little. That's my answer. Live a little bit. Okay, so for the jalapeno, I keep saying jalapeno. For the crema itself, again, everybody, I'm just cutting off the root end and then I'm just chunking up this onion. I'm chunking it up. We don't have to worry about getting precise cuts or anything. I'm just getting it small enough because when we make the crema itself, I just want it small enough that it all nicely and beautifully fits into my blender cup. Okay? Just like so. And this I'm going to go ahead and set behind me. I have no use for this at the moment. Also, by the way, everybody, check the tomatoes out. Look at the tomatoes. Look what's happening with the tomatoes. Look at how much water is coming out of the tomatoes. Look at how much liquid is coming out of them. All of that water would have otherwise ended up in your beautiful Pico de Gallo if you had left that in. And that's why we salted in advance, and that's why we put in this kind of effort. So, I'm going to once again use my bench scraper just to clean off my station. And then I'm going to cut my onion here into a nice medium to small dice. Now, the actual sauce for the tinga itself is going to get blended up. So you don't even have to be perfect with your onion cuts either. Okay, we're only cutting up the onion enough that we can get a nice saute on it because we're going to be cooking it down in some of the chorizo fat and some of the oil. What's the best kind of blender to use? So, I have an answer for this, Kitsune. The first thing that you want a stick blender. You want a handheld stick blender because that lets you get into a pot without needing to put it into a separate vessel. The other best kind of blender, I would ideally love a Vitamix. A Vitamix has so much power, a Vitamix has so much force. A Vitamix can make short work of just about anything and puree it into nothing. Now, this comes at a consequence. Vitamixes are expensive. Guys, exclamation mark wish list if you want to help crowdfund a Vitamix for me. Finger point. All right, that's enough shilling. But yes, the reason why Vitamixes are really nice is because they're an open top blender. When it's an open top blender, it allows the hot steam to escape and it lets you blend hot things. What I have isn't an open top blender. I just have a really mediocre Ninja Bullet. These things, they don't let you blend anything hot because all of the steam inside gets trapped. And if you try to blend something hot and then you open it, it will explode all over your kitchen. So you have a stick blender for hot things, and then if you want a nice cheap blender, you can get a Ninja Bullet. Okay? So 1/4 of a red onion in here, that's going to be for the crema that we're doing. And we're letting all of our charred vegetables just cool down a little bit. Okay? We don't need them for a little while. Okay. And let's just head back to the cutting board. And again, everybody, this 1/4 onion is for the tinga. We have a 1/4 onion that got charred, and we're going to have a 1/4 onion that gets sauteed. So, just cut through it all. There you go, beautiful, 1/4 onion. This is like a nice medium dicer, so it's all gonna get blended down. You don't have to be too perfect, you don't have to be too precise with this process. And everybody, this is also one of my favorite cooking concepts. We have red onions essentially two ways. We're going to have some that get basically sauteed, they get really, really nice and sweet, and then we have some red onion that got charred and roasted and smoky. So we have a duality of two different tastes and textures out of the red onion. Okay, so it's a really, really nice home cooking thing that I just love implementing wherever I can. So that's about half a red onion, or 1/4 of a red onion, excuse me. I'm just going to go ahead and set that behind me. I have no use for it at the moment. Okay, I'm going to need another bowl in which we will be building the Pico de Gallo. And now we're going to be doing a fine, fine dice on half a red onion here. The reason we want a fine dice is because we want to match the size of the tomatoes. And you don't want to bite into a massive piece of red onion. If anything, you actually want to cut your red onion a little bit smaller than you ended up cutting the tomatoes. So everybody, take a look at my tomatoes. Look how fine this dice was. Look how fine, look how small my pieces of tomato are. I want to basically get something around the same size because I want it all to have like this really, really nice homogeneous texture to then go on top of everything. So, we want to mince this onion. We want to get a very, very nice, fine, fine mince on this bad boy. And so, in order to achieve that, we're going to start by doing what we do. We keep the root of the onion attached. Look at the root. Look at the root. It's going to keep the whole thing together. And then we're going to basically make a bunch of thin, all the way through, parallel incisions. Look at what we're doing. But we're not cutting through all the way to the root end. We're adjusting the length each time. And we're getting this beautifully fanned out onion. Look at the way that it's fanning out. But it's still kept intact by this root. And now we go super thin with a really nice sharp knife. And we're able to get these really, really fine shreds of red onion. Just like so. Some of them paper thin. That's the kind of a cut that I want on these onions. Okay? You do anything bigger than this, and then you're going to bite into a chunk of raw onion in your Pico de Gallo, and you're going to be like, whoa, that's a little bit unpleasant, and I didn't really enjoy that experience just now. Again, the trick of a Pico de Gallo for me is to have these really, really finely minced up onions, and then I'm going to show you how we get rid of the pungency of the red onion. Are there little to none good uses of corn besides the tortillas and tacos? Jack, you have an entire cuisine to look at. That's not true at all. When it comes to corn, you know, there's so many different things that you can do with it. I mean, really, really basic thing that you can do is something like polenta. right? Or you can have like whole boiled forms of corn, right? Exactly, like Mexican street corn. There's so many different things that can be done with corn. You can do corn breads, you can do polentas. I mean, there's just so much here. So everybody, really nice, small, fine dice. Also, welcome on in, Val. Hello, hello. It's lovely to have you. And once again, my waste bowl, I'm going to be periodically dumping it out. Also, hello, Jay. Welcome on in. We'll do a little recap session once I'm done prepping up this onion. So everybody, really, really nice, fine dice on this onion here. And so here's what we're going to do. Guys, it's a raw red onion. What is the thing that you associate most with raw onions? You associate them with pungency. We want to eat this onion raw and we want to get rid of all of that pungency. And so you know what we do? We treat it with something acidic. We treat it with something acidic, specifically lime juice. We're going to have some lime juice going into the Pico de Gallo anyways, so we're going to do anywhere from about half a lime to an entire lime's worth of juice. So all we're going to do, my friends, I have this lime, I'm going to just cut it in half, and we're going to need lime for a bunch of other things today. We're going to just start with half a lime's worth of juice, because again, we can always add more, but then we can't take out any later on. Thank you for stopping by, Jack. Also, welcome on in, Erebus. Hello, hello. Guys, lime, face down. Don't put it face up. Face up and all the juice is going to splash out. You can use vinegar as well, Sunny Peach Crush, but we're using lime juice because we're making a Pico de Gallo and I really want the flavors and the citrusiness of the lime juice. So take a look. Tabletop citrus juice here, one of my favorite things. Take it and squeeze it down and guess what? We have all of that lovely lime juice coming out now. Now, there is a reason why I'm only starting with half a lime. In cooking, you can typically add more of something, but it's really difficult to take it away from something. Additionally, we have acidity that comes in from the tomatoes, especially during this time of the year. We just want a little mixture of the acidity from the limes. We want a mixture of the acidity from the tomatoes, but we don't necessarily need a lot of both. Okay? So, look at this lime that has now been thoroughly juiced. He has been drained of everything. Drained him and his wallet too. Get him out of there. He's done with it now. And now everybody, we're just going to hit these onions with a little bit of salt, mostly to season them. We don't really care about getting rid of excess liquid. We're just seasoning these onions. Okay. And that's all that there is to it. Half a lime's worth of juice, and we're soaking these onions in that lime juice to get rid of all of that excess pungency. Okay? That's it. That's all we got to do for it. Lovely. Look at that. So, the longer this sits, the more of that pungency is going to be gone. Alternatively, you don't have to do the step separately. What you can also do for a Pico de Gallo, when you combine all of your ingredients with the lime juice, you can just put in the fridge for an hour. But because we won't be doing that because we'll just be assembling it at the end, I just like doing this in advance. Okay, so once again, look at these tomatoes. Look how wet these tomatoes are. The red onions. Okay, let's move on with the other components that we need for today's Pico de Gallo. I'm going to be starting with one Serrano. Or rather, maybe let's do the smaller Serrano in that case. We're going to be starting with one Serrano, and then when we combine everything, we'll then be able to taste it and decide, hey, do we actually want more chili? So, Serrano, I'm going to be keeping the seeds inside. I want the heat of the Serrano. I want the heat inside my Pico de Gallo. So, all we're going to do, everybody, we're just slicing it up, like so, into a bunch of little batons. And the Serrano, the actual chili portion itself, this is what you want to really, really, really finely mince. I should have been gloving. Why have I not been gloving? I was too lazy to glove up. This is the part that you really want to finely mince because you want the heat to evenly distribute. You don't want to bite into a massive piece of Serrano. The goal is for this to flavor your Pico de Gallo beautifully. So, really, really finely, and I mean finely. We're slicing it up, we're getting it done, seeds inside because I want that heat. I want a nice, really, really spicy Pico de Gallo today. Okay, just going through it all. Don't leave any big pieces. Again, you want this to flavor your Pico de Gallo. No big pieces. Look at that, beautiful. One Serrano chili for the heat. And I'm just going to add that in directly with the onions. Again, the goal of the onions was just for it to like soak. We don't have to separate it like we did with the tomatoes. I'm touching my face again. I'm playing with fire at the moment. Okay, and the other thing that we have to do and we have to get rid of, we need a little bit of garlic. Now, there is a problem. Chat, we have a problem. I have a sincere issue. I think I lost my garlic press. We're only going to do like 2 raw garlic cloves. I don't know where my garlic press is. I've been looking for it like all day before the stream actually started, and I haven't been able to find this thing. I just don't know where it is. I feel like I've been going insane. No, never mind, I found it. Lol, we're good. We're back. So, never mind, we're so back, everybody. We're actually going to do some of the rest of the garlic that we need. I'm going to need about a clove or so for the crema. And then I'm going to need a couple cloves for the tinga as well. 1 and 2. Excellent. Okay, and this we no longer need now. That has done its job for us. Okay, everybody, so here's what has to happen. One of these garlic cloves is just going to go into my my crema that I'm doing, right? My Serrano Crema. So I'm just going to crush it. And the reason why I'm crushing it is so that the skin easily peels off, or rather, I could have crushed it up a little bit more. Just give it a nice little smash, give it a little crush just like so. And off it should, theoretically, come off. Come on, buddy. Ooh, you're being a little stubborn today, aren't you? Okay. Nice. Kind of. Most of it has come off. Not all of it, but most of it. And then we're just going to cut off the root end. Excellent. Okay, so 1 garlic clove. Everybody, you need to understand something. The finer you mince and the finer you puree garlic, the more intense it gets. We only need 1 clove into the jalapeno crema itself because it's going to be completely uncooked. So just 1 of these cloves is going to be plenty. And similarly, for the Pico de Gallo, we only need 1 to 2 cloves as well. It's going to be intense, it's going to be pungent. It's going to get a little bit more mild the longer that it actually sits into the fridge. And Serena, I've never made toom before. I've never made toom. But we only need 1 of these things for today's Pico de Gallo. Just 1. And I promise you that's going to be enough flavor. So, now, 1 by 1, we're going to procedurally smash up each garlic clove so that we can then get the skin off. 1 by 1. Excellent. And all the while, by the way, my chicken stock is going. And so everybody, once we're done with making the majority of the stuff for the Pico de Gallo, we're going to do a little recap session. Is that okay with everybody? Can we please get a yes, chef, from everybody watching? And does anybody have any questions about this process or what we're doing and why we're doing it? So off it all comes. Pop it all off. Ooh, it smells like garlic. It smells like chilies in here. It smells like chicken stock. Guys, this kitchen smells pretty excellent at the moment, I have to say. It all smells pretty wonderful. Okay. There we go. Bunch of garlic cloves. And we're going to do a recap soon for anybody that may just now be tuning in. And I'm going to just cut off any of the dried ends of each of these things. Each of my little cloves of garlic. Okay, so everybody, we're going to just start with 1 big garlic clove is going to go in for today's Pico de Gallo. Just 1. That's all that we need. Again, it's going to have plenty of pungency. It's going to be more than enough for something like this. So in it goes now, just 1, and using a little knife, I'm just going to get it all out. Actually, I'm looking at that amount and I'm thinking, you know, we could definitely use a little bit more in here. Yeah, that should be okay now. That should be a right amount of garlic. Okay, and I'm just going to set that aside. And now these are going to be the garlic cloves that we need for the tinga today. Okay, and next one going in. Just scoop it off, put it in, press it through. Everybody, I love my garlic press. I think everybody should own one. I hate chopping garlic on a cutting board. I think it's incredibly annoying. It is such a waste of time and energy. Okay, and going in, beautiful. Okay, and just clean that off. Last one going in, Great, and now I'm just going to quickly run this under some water just to make sure that nothing can possibly dry off and just like stay stuck inside of the holes. Okay, everybody, let's do a little recap session. Let's do a little recap. Today is all about using up my existing leftover. It's about transforming them and turning them into something beautiful. We're going to be doing chicken chorizo tinga tostadas. Can I please get a yes, chef, from everybody watching in chat, especially if you may now just be tuning in. We're going to be doing these tostadas with a little something called tinga. We're going to be doing a shredded chicken. Currently in my pressure cooker, using the bones from a whole chicken and some of the wings, we're making a homemade chicken stock. We currently also charred up some vegetables. These are my tomatillos, these are my onions, these are my serranos, and these are my green arbels, as well as some garlic cloves. All of that is going to get blended down into the sauce for the shredded chicken. Additionally, I have this leftover salsa verde that is then going to just go into the rest of the blended components for the tinga itself. Alongside the tinga and for like my other garnishes that I want for today, I'm going to be doing a really, really beautiful pico de gallo. Pico de gallo is red onions, cilantro, nice little spicy chili, garlic, and tomatoes. So I have my onions soaking with lime juice to get rid of the pungency. I smashed in, using my garlic press, a clove of garlic, okay? And I can just now set that behind me. It's losing its pungency the longer it sits with the acid. And then I had 2 plum tomatoes, and you can see how wet it is. It's this wet because we salted it. We hit it with a bunch of salt. And we're leaching out all of that excess liquid that would otherwise make our pico de gallo soggy. And you want to let it essentially sit with that salt for around 40 minutes or so. Okay, in addition to all of that, we will be doing, and I'm going to add the cilantro for that a little bit later on, we're going to be doing a cilantro lime crema with some serrano, something acidic, something fresh, something spicy. So let's get that going now. In my blender, everybody, I want you to take a look. In my blender, I have my red onion. I have my garlic. This is 1/4 of a red onion and 1 garlic clove. We only need 1/4 of a red onion and only 1 garlic cloves because they're so pungent when they're raw. These aren't going to be cooked at all. So you don't want really more onion than this. You don't really want more garlic than this. Is that clear? Is there a benefit to salt dewatering in a bowl versus a strainer? Yes, Tarina. The reason we do it in a bowl and not a strainer is because if you first do it in a strainer, it's going to end up losing a lot more salt. And then it won't be able to be fully submerged in the salt, and it won't be able to act as much. By keeping it in a bowl of the salt, all of the salty water surrounds it and continuously pulls it out. Okay, so here's what we need to do. This is going to be a cilantro lime chili crema. We're going to take, once again, my citrus juicer, my lime, I'm going to just put it face down, just like so, smash it all the way down, and then in goes half a lime's worth of juice. Remember, you can always add more lime juice later on, but you can't take any away once we get started. So we're making it a lot easier on ourselves. Okay, next, we're going to add in 1 of my lovely serranos. And the serrano is going to bring a lovely vegetal flavor. It's also going to bring a lovely heat into this thing. And again, we're just chunking this up enough for the blender to be able to easily process all of this down. I'm keeping the seeds in because I want all of that heat. I want that heat inside. Okay, next, I'm going to hit this with a generous amount of salt because we want to make sure that it gets seasoned. Just that much. We're just going to do a pinch for now. And again, we can always add more later on. All right, but you can't take any away. Do something like this. And then, everybody, we're going to add in a nice bundle of cilantro, stems and all. Stems and all. Okay? We're just going to add that right in to my blender cup. Right into my blender cup it all goes. Stems and all, because it's all going to get beautifully pureed into, a nice delicious cream. And then finally, we're going to do the sour cream. I have some just really, really basic, really simple sour cream here. You can also use crema mexicana. You can also do this with yogurt, I believe. You just need something like this. And this is going to be essentially the sauce. What's really beautiful about this tostada is think about the flavors, think about the layers. We're going to have this crispy tortilla. We're going to have this juicy, tender, shredded chicken. We're going to have this really, really fresh pico de gallo, and then this cool crema at the very end of it all. So I'm going in. We may end up using all of this. I'm not measuring any of this, by the way. I'm just going in with 2-3 big scoops of sour cream going in now. And now let's just cap it off. And let me get the blending station ready. We're gonna blend. It's time for us to blend. So let's go to the stove. I'm going to take the sheet tray and I'm going to move it aside. I don't really need it right now. And I'm just gonna grab a cutting board just to make this whole thing nice and flat. And now everybody, it is time for us to blend this down. We wanna get a beautiful, smooth crema. This is going to be the garnish for today's tostadas, okay? So take your blender cup, and we're just gonna keep it going. We're just gonna get it all the way down, nice and smooth, all the way. Give it a second, and then it comes together. Look at that. Just keep it going. We want to smooth. We want to break down the seeds. We want to get rid of all of the garlic, all of the onion. We want all of it to just break down. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Okay, and that should be enough. There we go. Everybody, let's have a little taste. You ready? Now we have to taste it for the seasoning. We have to decide, hey, do we want more lime juice? Do we want more salt? Do we want more chili? Do we want to, if this is too intense, do we want to add more sour cream to basically dilute it down? It smells incredible. In fact, let's do this on a chip. I have some tortilla chips in my pantry. Let's give this thing a little taste. You ready? Little tortilla chip. Into my crema it goes. Ooh, that is good. Now just do a spoon. Right? Ooh, that's nice. That also has some heat. That was one Serrano with the seeds in. That was a fairly spicy Serrano. Okay, everybody, that's how easy it is to do this garnish. That's how easy it is to do this crema. It's got everything that you want. It's really, really nice on chips. It's really nice to do anything that you want to do with it. It's really versatile. It's going to hold in your fridge nicely. And it's a really nice way to get rid of excess cilantro. There you go. In it all goes. Beautiful. And now I'm just going to cap it off. I'm going to put a little lid on it. And this is just going to go into my fridge. It's really, really delicious. So everybody, once again, this has my Serrano. This has some red onion. This has a garlic clove. This has some cilantro, of course. Look at it. Beautiful, isn't it? And now, put a lid on it and put it away. Ooh, that is some heat to it. Cough, cough. Ow. Painful. And it's going to mild out a little bit, by the way, as like the spices like sit and everything, it is going to get more mild. But at the moment, that is definitely quite intense. Okay, I am going to take a second just to clean off my station. Ooh. I'm just going to put some things away really quickly. Does anybody have any questions? It doesn't just have to be about what we're making today. It can be about anything else that you would like. I'm here to help you learn how to cook at the end of the day. Also, by the way, everybody, this Sunday stream is going to be at 7 p.m. and not 5 p.m. because I'm doing Brawlhalla commentary that same day. It might be pushed back a little bit further. We'll see what happens. But I still intend on streaming for all of you and teaching all of you how to cook nonetheless. Why, thank you, Duolingo. How convenient. Wow. Okay. I no longer need my blender. Away it all goes. And by the way, everybody, the chicken stock currently has 13 more minutes on it. Serena Chess, I don't know who John Kung is. I don't know who that is. Okay, just gonna wipe off my station, get rid of all the stuff on my cutting board. Okay, let's finish up my Pico de Gallo now. Everybody ready to finish my Pico de Gallo? How tall am I? I'm 5'5.5". But also publicly I'm 6'2". I lie and say I'm 6'2", but I like saying I'm 5'5.5". I've entrusted you all with knowledge. Okay. So, look at these tomatoes. Look at how much salt they're sitting in. Look at all of that salty liquid. What we need to do now is we need to drain all of that off. I need to drain it off because otherwise it will make our pico de gallo really, really soggy. I want to show you all. So normally I would just drain this in a sink, but I'm going to be draining this in a bowl because I want to show you exactly how much liquid comes out of this. We pour these tomatoes in, just get it all off. Excellent. And then we're going to have it sit over the strainer for a little bit. Just don't want to waste anything. So take a look. Already, all of this liquid would have ended up in your pico de gallo and have effectively made it soggy. So just let this sit now. Let that chill out a little bit. We're just going to let that strain for the next few minutes or so, and then we're going to come back to it when it's time for us to actually properly and fully combine today's pico de gallo. All of that liquid would have otherwise ended up in your pico de gallo if you were to season your tomatoes, and it would have made the whole thing really, really soggy and bland. Okay, the last step that we need for today's pico de gallo, let's quickly come back over to this bowl with our onions. We need to add in the cilantro. The cilantro is an essential element. You cannot sleep on it. You can't have a pico de gallo without cilantro. And I'm going to use up the last of my cilantro for this. I had a whole thing of cilantro. This is a really, really nice way to use up a bunch of it at once. Okay? So, all of the cilantro, everybody, we're going to take the stems off because, again, I don't like the texture of the stems in a non-pureed form like so. We're going to take the stems off one by one. And the goal now is, again, I just want to get all of my other components done so that when it's time to make the tinga itself, that we're just ready to go. And we'll do a little recap once I'm done with the chicken stock. It's going to be nice. Okay. Just picking off the leaves. You don't have to go super crazy with this. The cilantro itself was already getting a little bit old at this point. So, again, I'm just really happy that I get to use it up now. And again, you want plenty of cilantro. You want plenty of beautiful fresh cilantro in your pico de gallo. These are getting a little bit old, and that's okay. It happens to the best of us. Just because they're old doesn't mean they don't have any use. They just have a little bit of less flavor and texture than before. Do I have a VOD on cooking basics? So, Elibus, I don't have a VOD on cooking basics because all I do here is just home cooking. I don't teach people recipes. What you can just do is ask me. You can just ask me anything you want and I'll do my best to answer it for you. Oof. I ended up getting some lime juice onto my hand and I have like a cut on my finger. Ouch. You can just ask me anything that you want and I'll be able to show it off for you. Okay, everybody. So, we're now going to mince up my herbs. As you may know, I never chop my herbs. I never chop them, I never crush them. All I do is I take them in my hand and I bundle them up. Okay? And I put it down on my cutting board. And now we're going to be using the full length of our knife. We're not going to chop this. We're not going to crush this exactly. We're going to treat this like a baby bird. Not so firmly that we crush it, but not so gently that it flies away. And we're dragging our knife through it. I hate chopping with a passion. I hate it when people chop things. Chopping just crushes everything, and it's clunky, and it's bad for your knife, and it's bad for the food. It's bad for everybody involved. So we're slicing. Look how much of my knife I'm using for this. I'm barely putting any vertical force now. And then I take it and I give it a 90-degree turn. And now we're getting super, super fine with it because this is going to be my pico de gallo. This is going to my pico de gallo. I want these very fine, small pieces because I want it to be a nice garnish. I want all of the flavors to incorporate and I don't want it to fall off of my tostada once I'm done with it. Okay, my pressure cooker also has 8 minutes, so we're making really good time right now. We're getting all of this stuff done before that's done. Okay? And we're just going to pass this through one more time, just to get rid of any of like the massive pieces of leaves left. Okay, everybody. And that's going to be it. We're going to take our bench scraper yet again, and we're going to put it into the bowl with all of the red onions in it. And we're going to just clean up our cutting board as well in the process. And now everybody take a look. The tomatoes, we have successfully let them drain out a little bit. In fact, we're just going to let them sit a little bit longer. We're just going to grab a spoon and just start mixing things around. I just touched my eyeball. Chat, it's over for me. How is it that I can be such a good cook and yet so stupid at the same time? How is that even possible? Blah. Save me. Okay, so Take a look. This is the start of a beautiful pico de gallo. And now we're going to scoop in all of my drained tomatoes that have been thoroughly salted, thoroughly seasoned. Everything has seasoning. Everything is looking really, really delicious at the moment. Take a look. Look at this pico de gallo, everybody. Look at this pico de gallo. And just mix it through. Here's what we did. We took the tomatoes. We hit it with a bunch of salt to get rid of the excess liquid. We soaked my red onions in lime juice to get rid of the pungency. We chopped in a fresh serrano. We added in a clove of garlic, and we added in some cilantro. The whole thing should be perfectly seasoned. But now it's time to taste it once again. Everybody, you're cooking at home. Every chef does this. Every professional chef, every home chef should be doing this. Taste it, taste it, taste it. You cannot make guesses as to how seasoned something is. And even people who've been doing it for a very long time, you have to taste it. The size of your tomatoes are variable. The size of your pinches of salt are variable. Sometimes you have more, sometimes you need less. So you have to taste, taste, taste to make sure that something is perfectly seasoned. So, once again, I'm going to just grab a little tortilla chip, just to be able to taste this on. Guys, this would make for, an excellent, just like on tortilla chips, on nachos. A pico de gallo is just lovely to have in so many different contexts, so many different occasions. That is spicy. Now, these serranos today are hitting. Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. I'm getting the heat of the serranos. I'm getting the sweetness of the tomatoes. I'm getting the saltiness. I'm getting the acidity. That is a perfect pico de gallo. So, Elibas, you can just ask me. Just ask me to define something and I can tell you. I'm happy to help you. I'm happy to help define things for you. Zio, that would be a good idea. It's just like I don't really eat before, I eat between 2 and 8 o'clock, 2 and 9 o'clock. So this kind of fits into my lifestyle. Okay, so I'm going to just quickly put my strainer and my bowl into my dishwasher as I have no more use for it at the moment. It has done its job. Everybody, please say thank you to Mr. Strainer and Mr. Bowl. They've done excellent work for us today. They've done incredible, in fact. Okay, and now, everybody, I'm just going to pop this into the fridge to just chill out a little bit. Ooh. Yeah, that Serrano is getting me. Okay, one more thing that we have to do, at the moment at least, is we need to take the skin off of our chorizo. So, we're going to crumble up a little bit of chorizo. Some people do this, some people don't. The chorizo itself is not essential. I really, really like having chorizo in the tinga because it just lends itself so well. It adds in such a really nice fattiness, the texture, the flavor. I mean, it's all pretty incredible stuff. Okay. So, I'm going to take about half a chorizo here, half a stick of chorizo, and the rest I can just go ahead and put away into the fridge. And again, the chorizo, you're not really meant to bite into a really, really large piece of it. The function of the chorizo is purely for it to then flavor the chicken, okay? That is the goal, that is the intention. We don't want massive crumbles of chorizo because again, at the end of the day, this is just about having the shredded chicken. So, these chorizos, they were air drying in my fridge. Because they were air drying in my fridge, I can peel them off a lot easier, especially when they're cold. If they're a little bit warm, that's fine too, just the fat tends to melt more, it tends to stick a little bit more. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Get it off the skin, we're going to crumble up this chorizo, okay? We're gonna crumble it up, we're gonna make it great. So just off it all goes, get it out of here. We do not need the skin at all for today. But yeah, the reason why it's sticking to my skin so much is because of how warm it is. It's just been sitting out for a while. Also, nighty night Kitsune, thank you so much for stopping by. Really appreciate you. But yeah, I mean, I air dry it in terms of just I keep it in my fridge exposed for a few days, and it makes the skin a lot drier. Also, Dex, there's nothing quite like a good hot dog sometimes though. Especially where I live, Eastern European supermarkets near me. Just grew up eating so many different types of we love sausages and hot dogs. Right? Yeah, no, chili dogs are an incredible amount of effort. That is laborious and an undertaking. I also don't love doing hot dogs at home. Like, they're cheap, but the reason why I don't really love doing hot dogs is because, like, I don't really know what to do with excess hot dog buns. I mean, if it's part of your routine and you just, like, keep hot dogs around, then go for it. I just don't really keep hot dogs at home. Okay. Going ahead and putting that behind me. That's all done. I can put a few more things away. Okay, everybody, guess what? We have now just completed the majority of the prep work for today. We just gotten so much done. Do I even need my cutting board for anything? Is there anything else that I need to cut? I don't think so. So let me just go ahead and get rid of that now. I'm going to get rid of my cutting board. I'm going to get rid of my knife. We don't need it at the moment. My pressure cooker of chicken stock is almost done. And then we can begin properly making the tinga itself. So I'm just taking a second. I'm just putting all this stuff away, wiping down my station, wiping down my cutting board. And I'll talk to you about my remaining order of operations. So, is everybody excited for a little recap? Is everybody excited for a little recap session? I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, from everybody watching right now. We're making today chicken tinga tostadas. Oh, and my pressure cooker is done. Actually, I'm just going to stop right now. Release the pressure. We're making chicken tinga tostadas. So, for the tinga itself, also welcome on in, Cookie. We needed some chicken broth. So we broke down a whole chicken. We took all the bones and we made a really, really beautiful stock out of it. We're going to gently poach the chicken in a really nice salsa that we'll make out of some blended down tomatillos, some chili, some red onion, and some garlic. The garnishes for today, the garnishes that we'll be using are going to be this really, really lovely Pico de Gallo that we made. Salted and drained tomatoes, lime juice, treated red onions, serranos, cilantro, and garlic. And then we have this cilantro Serrano Crema. So some sour cream, some cilantro, really beautifully blended down, nice and spicy, nice and pungent. Okay. I'm just going to keep these in the fridge so they stay nice and cool. And now, everybody, now that the chicken stock is fully done cooking, it's time for us to begin making the tinga itself. It's going to be this juicy, poached, and shredded chicken. Okay, so let's begin. Let's go to the stove. Let's go to the stove. Don't worry about these vegetables. We'll worry about these vegetables in a moment. I have here something nice and tall enough to accommodate all of the different salsa that we'll be using for this. The idea is to first cook up the chorizo. So here's what we do for the chorizo, everybody. We're going to start on a medium heat. We're going to start medium and slow with a touch of oil. The idea is to slowly render all of the fat out of the chorizo itself. The reason that we're rendering the fat and melting the fat is because we want the fat to then flavor the tinga. Okay? It's going to make it really, really incredible. So we're starting on a medium heat, and I'm going in there with a splash of oil just to get the chorizo started. We don't need a lot of oil because the chorizo has a lot of naturally occurring fat. It has all of that delicious pork fat. So I just need literally a few drops. And I'm going to heat that up. And the idea is we want a very, very medium hot pan. We don't need a scorching hot pan. If your pan is too hot when you make the chorizo, you're going to get too much color on it before the fat melts away. The goal is to melt the fat slowly and then we'll get some color. And that fat will cook the onions and will cook the garlic and... Okay, while that's going, while that oil is heating up, everybody, let's go back over here. Let's go back over to my table. We're going to grind up some cumin. We don't need to toast the cumin because the cumin itself is going to fry. Let me just get that nicely adjusted. So, whole cumin seeds. We don't use pre-ground spices. Also, welcome on in, Angel. Angel, how'd you find the stream? We're doing 1 to 2 pinches of cumin seeds. We don't need too much because we still have the salsa and it's about like the vegetables more than anything. This isn't particularly about the spices today. But we just need some cumin to get this started. We're not going to toast it because again, it's going to fry in the oil. So all we're going to do is we're going to start just by smashing it. And then we're just going to rotate all of these cumin seeds around until we get a lovely powder. Everybody, whole spices. They have so much more flavor than pre-ground spices. They're night and day. And now, by the way, let's quickly just head back to the stove. The oil is exactly where I want it to be. I don't want this smoking hot. I don't even want this oil shimmering. I basically want this medium hot oil. Okay? okay? Because the goal is to slowly melt the fat. You can hear that sizzle, but it's a slight sizzle. Just add the chorizo in. Just add it in. That's all you got to do for it. The goal is to melt out the fat, and then we're going to take out the chorizo and then cook in the onions. Also, hello to Static Gaming. Welcome on in. So back to the cumin. We're grinding this up into a lovely cumin powder. Okay? And the idea is we're going to fry up this cumin a little bit. It's going to be nice. Smells incredible. It smells great. We're just grinding it up. We're making sure we're getting rid of all of it. Just taking care of it, everybody. Does anybody have any questions about this process? We're letting the chorizo get started, and then we're starting to slowly just crumble it up bit by bit. And we're going to get rid of all of that delicious chorizo fat from it. Just crumble it up, get all of that fat separated. Just get it going. It's going to slowly but surely release its own fat. Do I usually toast spices before or after grinding? So, toasting it before doesn't really matter, I've realized, if you're going to be frying the spices after. But if the spices don't get fried, then you should just toast it beforehand. But they're going to be fried in the oil anyway, so I don't think it matters too much. Okay, so that's been done. I'm going to just get a little condiment cup, my little condiment container. And we're going to get this cumin out of here. We're going to get it out of here. We're going to get it in here. Lovely. My freshly ground up cumin, everybody. Whole spices, they have so much more flavor than pre-ground spices. I think everybody should get into the habit of these. You should get like either like a coffee grinder to grind it up, or you can do what I do in a mortar and a pestle. And pre-ground spices are like fine if they're not too old, but they have just so much less flavor than whole non-ground spices. Okay, that's been done. Yes, Duolingo, that is how I do my black beans. Okay, I'm just going to mix it around, break it up a little bit. And everybody, you can see, I want you all to take a look at my chorizo right now. I want you all to take a look at my chorizo. Look at the fat that is now being emanated. Look at the fat that is now being released from the chorizo. All of that chorizo fat is going to go back into this dish, okay? That is the beauty of it. We are using a naturally occurring sources of fat instead of just cooking this in oil. So this is something that I really, really like doing. If your dish, let's say you're making a dish, and it calls for bacon at some point, like for crumbles or something. And then they say, oh, okay, you're going to cook the other components in oil. Something I like doing is increasing the amount of bacon that is naturally in the dish so that I can get more fat out of it and really, really use it functionally. The chorizo is not about biting into a thing of the chorizo, it's about the fat. And we're using as little as other oils as possible because chorizo fat is that delicious, spicy pork fat. It has so much other flavor than just plain old pork fat. So now we're just properly breaking all of it up. Gorgeous. Looking really, really good right now. Okay, and then my cumin and my oregano, I'm just going to set that behind me. I have no more use for that at the second. Okay, and we're slowly, everybody, the key to this is a medium to low heat. The goal is to slowly get the fat out. We don't want to get too much color on the chorizo before we melt the fat out. Can I please get a yes, chef, right now? Want to make sure that we all understand. Also just keeping up with some notice really quickly. Okay, lovely. So let's give that a little stir around. And look at this. Look at all of that gorgeous, gorgeous chorizo fat that we're getting. Just scraping up the bottom as well, making sure that nothing is really sticking too much. Just keep it cooking a little bit longer. Be nice and patient, everybody. This just takes a little bit of time. Okay, I'm also going to just set the sheet tray behind because it's going to get added in later on. Okay, let's take the pressure cooker pot out, and I'm going to show you, everybody, my homemade delicious chicken stock. Who's ready to see my chicken stock? Ooh, just got to put a few things away really quick. Okay, chicken stock. This is my chicken stock. I think you can see it all the way back here. Actually, you can't see it all that well. I think I'm gonna swap my sheet tray positioning. Ah, that pot is hot. Okay, hold on. Hold on, sheet tray, you go here. Chorizo, we're going to give you a little stir around, just to make sure, again, you're not burning, that you're not sticking to the bottom. And we're about to pull out the chorizo. We don't need too much color. We just wanted to melt the fat from it, okay? We're about to pull that off. And now, this is my pressure cooker pot with my homemade chicken stock back there. And so we're just going to ladle a little bit of it in. We're not going to be using all of it for the tinga today. We just needed some of that delicious, flavorful chickeny liquid. Alternatively, you could have just used water and some chicken bouillon powder if you would have liked. That would have also done just fine. Okay, so shut off the heat, just so this doesn't continue to brown. And we could just put it back onto the same plate that it was on before, because it's still going to cook after. We're going to drain out all of the fat, and we're going to use like the slotted like pasta spoon, essentially, to scoop it out, and I'll put it back onto a plate. The chorizo has done its job. Everybody, please say thank you to the chorizo. It's going to be added back in at a later date. We just don't need to cook it any further at the moment. We have some delicious, perfectly fried chorizo, and it's going to cook down more once the actual thing is made. Okay. Excellent. Just getting rid of as many of these crumbles as you reasonably and physically can, okay? Because this whole thing is going to get blended up, and you really don't want to basically blend up cooked meat. That's not too pleasant. It's not a very pleasant taste. It's not a very pleasant texture. Okay, I still see some more on the bottom here that I can easily scoop out with a different spoon, with a different vessel. So I'm going to use just that. Excellent. There you go. That's the last of it. Setting that aside, setting that behind me. Also, hello, Salty. Welcome on in. Hello, hello, hello. It's lovely to have you. Chef, what is your favorite dish to make? I have a cop-out answer for you. My favorite dish to make is whatever the person I'm cooking for and what they want to eat. Because my goal is I want to take care of people. I want to treat people to something really, really nice. So I want to make them something that is special to them. My real answer is rice and beans, because I love rice and beans to death, and I do it better than anybody else. Also, Salty, it's really good to have you. Just adjusting my hair really quick. So, the heat is back on. We're heating it up now. We're making sure the bottom of the pan doesn't get too dark. That's all of the fond from the chorizo. We're adding in our quarter of a diced red onion now. We don't need too much onion. We just want to get that sweetness. We want to get that delicious fried red onion. Okay? So we got all of that chorizo fat, and now we're cooking the red onion in that chorizo fat. Also, as a little heads up, this would be a good time to preheat your oven to about like 390, because we're going to be doing the tostadas soon. 390. And also just keep it stirring, keep it mixing, mix it around, make sure you're scraping off all that chorizo fond that is stuck to the bottom. All of those dissolved proteins and spices, they can and will burn. But look at the onions, look at the onions, look at them swimming in that chorizo fat. That's why we use the chorizo here. That's why we use the chorizo, for it to render the fat and then flavor the whole dish. Isn't that so much better than just plain old oil? If we just used plain old vegetable or canola oil, it would have been nothing. It would have added nothing. Everybody, fat is an ingredient. The fat that you cook with is as much of an ingredient as everything else is. If we have lard, if we have other animal-based ingredients, it just is so much more delicious. We can't use butter because butter burns a little bit too easily. But right now, everybody, we're just scraping off the bottom. We're making sure the bottom doesn't get too dark. If it gets too dark, we're just going to add in a splash of water to just gently deglaze the whole thing. That may be necessary. Because if the fond scorches, then the rest of the tinga scorches too. We're also going to add now a hit of salt just to help the onions cook out a little bit. And we're going in a very gentle heat. We're not slamming this with heat. We're just trying to get some good color, good sweetness developed on these onions. Okay? Look at that. Gorgeous. Okay. A little bit of salt going in now. Scraping off the bottom. And yeah, I can already see that fond on the bottom. It is indeed getting a little bit too dark. So we're going to have to accelerate this process, everybody. We're going to have to accelerate all of this. Here's what we got to do. We're going to go in with the garlic. We didn't go in with the garlic in the beginning because if we did, it would have burnt, right? The garlic full of sugar, it burns a lot faster than an onion, especially in such a minced up form. So we're going to stir it around. I'm going to get my ladle ready for my chicken stock, because that's what's going to essentially deglaze all of it. And we're mixing the garlic, and we don't stop mixing for about a few seconds. And then, remember the cumin? We want to fry the cumin in the oil before we add anything wet. This is how we get a lot of really delicious toasted flavors out of the cumin, and we get the oil infused with the cumin itself, right? Chef, would tallow work? Absolutely. Use whatever delicious fats that you have on hand. Use whatever you have. Okay? Everybody, my cumin is in there, my garlic is in there, everything has toasted and fried, and now I'm ladling in some of my delicious homemade chicken stock. We're doing 1 to 2 ladles just to get us started, just to get the bottom of the pan nice and moist. Maybe 1 more ladle. Okay? Everybody, everything is coming together now. And now, remember my sheet tray of charred vegetables. Remember my tomatillo. Remember my red onions. Remember my garlic. Remember my chilies. All of that is going in now. We're just dropping it in. Except for the garlic. The garlic we still have to take out of the skin. And we're going to lower the heat, and I'm going to explain why in just a second. I'm just going to grab all of my different tomatillos, all of my different vegetables. All of it is going in now. This is going to be the base of the tinga for today. But we're not done yet, because a tinga is all about the chicken, everybody. The 2 chicken breasts. It's going to gently poach in this liquid. We're going to gently cook it in this liquid. We're not going to sear it to death. We're not going to overcook it. The goal is for us to have a really juicy, beautifully cooked chicken. So we're going to cook it around to 150 degrees internal Fahrenheit. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that now. So take a look, everybody, take a look. My tomatillos, my charred tomatillos, my red onions, my chilies, full of spice, full of flavor, full of character. And now, let's go ahead and pull out my chicken breasts. Okay, I'm going to pull out my chicken breasts. Tender still attached and everything. And we're going to tuck them in goodnight. I mean it, we will tuck them in. So everybody, we're going to gently cook these chicken breasts. We're poaching them. We're not searing them on a really high heat first, because if we do that, what we end up happening is a really thick band of overcooked chicken breast on the outside. So we're instead gently, intentionally poaching these chicken breasts. Okay? And we're going to add more salt. Don't really worry about the salinity of it right now. Just tuck it in. Make sure that the chicken breast is as fully submerged as it can be. And we're never going to boil this chicken. This chicken is never going to boil. It's never going to overcook that way. We're only going to poach it. We're going to make sure that our liquid is never past a simmer. Is that clear? Can I get a yes, chef, right now? Please and thank you. We're going to just make sure that it's covered. We're going to make sure that the chicken itself is actually just covered with the stock so that it evenly cooks. There you go. And now I'm going to go ahead and put this pot of stock away. We do not need it. It has done its job. Okay, I'm actually going to set my dishwasher on now. My dishwasher is like really quiet, so I can just run it on stream. So take a look. Everybody, look at this pot. Look at this pot. This is our tinga to be. We're going to have this juicy, shredded chicken. Also, Serena, thank you for stopping by. We want juicy, shredded chicken. If this water ever comes to a boil, drop it down. I barely want to see any bubbling. It's going to take about 15 minutes for this to get all the way cooked through on the inside, but I don't want to see any significant bubbling. If it has any significant bubbling, the outside of the chicken will overcook by the time that the inside is done, and you're going to have dry chicken instead of juicy, shredded chicken. It's super important. You have to know how to boil things and poach things correctly. So, really quickly, remember my garlic cloves? We're going to now take them off of the peel now that they've cooled down enough that we can just handle them with our hands. We're peeling them up, and we're just throwing them in. That's one. This is going to add a beautiful sweetness to the whole thing. Okay. And 3. There you go. My roasted garlic cloves are in. Everybody, think of the flavor. Think of the flavor. This is called poaching, but right now it's not even at a poach. We're just looking for it to be just below a little bubbling. Okay? I no longer need the sheet tray. The sheet tray has done its job for us. Actually, I may end up using this for the tortillas. I'm thinking about what to do here. You know what? I may just wipe this thing off. Yes, it can, Nix. So, you asked me, can a too high of a temp in the pot scorch a sauce? It can, if it's a thick, viscous blended sauce. Think of something like a tomato sauce. Because we haven't blended this down yet, it can't really stick and burn at the bottom that much. But if we were to blend this down, then we would need to be stirring this fairly often. Because of how much of this is just straight liquid, of straight broth, it's not going to burn nearly as easily. Okay, I'm setting my dishwasher on just so that it's clean for later. My dishwasher is now officially full. I wish my dishwasher was a little bit more empty before I started today, but that is the nature of cooking, guys. Sometimes life happens. Okay. So, everybody, who is ready for a recap session? We are making today, I want to hear a yes, chef, right now, from everybody watching. We are making today chorizo chicken tostadas. We are making everything by hand. I want to emphasize something too. So by the way, for those of you that are uninitiated, what is a tostada? A tostada is an extremely crispy tortilla. I labeled this as need for stream, so that my mom wouldn't eat any of my tortillas, because I needed them for today. A tostada is a really, really crispy tortilla that then gets topped with things. Guys, do you know who made these tortillas? Guess. We did. Together, because we don't mess around with store-bought tortillas. If you wanted to check out, you could have checked out Wednesday's stream. We've done tortillas on stream so many different times. These are beautiful homemade tortillas. When they're a little bit stale, when tortillas aren't exactly the freshest, they lend themselves really, really well to getting crispy, because they have so much less moisture. If you wanted to make a taco out of this again, it would feel a little bit too rubbery almost. Also, I'm going to show you this in the meantime. So the reason why tostadas really, really worked. Oh, chef made tortillas indeed. We do only homemade tortillas. We don't do any store-bought tortillas. So the beauty of these, everybody, is because they are stale, they're actually better for tostadas. It's the same idea with French toast and using stale bread. These are going to get crispy so much better. So homemade, slightly stale tortillas. Okay, these are going to be made into the tostada. Currently in my pot, in homemade chicken stock that we did together. You and I, we did it together. We have charred tomatillos, we have charred serranos, we have charred arbos. We have some garlic, charred garlic. In the pot, we sauteed some chorizo. We took the chorizo out. We cooked onions in the chorizo fat. We fried garlic in the chorizo fat. We fried cumin in the chorizo fat. We put in the tomatillos, we put in all the different vegetables, we submerged it with chicken stock, and now we're poaching it. We are not boiling this chicken. If I see you bubbling this thing away, I'll be very upset and disappointed, and you don't want to disappoint me. Chat, do you want to disappoint me? I don't think so. So, we're poaching this chicken. We're making sure that it never ever comes up to an aggressive boil, so that the outside of it doesn't overcook by the time that the inside is done, so that the whole thing stays beautifully succulent and juicy. Now, what else is going to go onto the tostada? Let me show you. Let me show you something. Chat, I don't mess around. When it comes to these kinds of things, I do not mess around, not even a little bit. Here's what we have. From Wednesday's stream, I have this homemade queso fresco. We made our own cheese a few streams ago, and I wanted to get rid of it, and it's going to go on top of this tostada. Now, I wanted some creaminess, I wanted some acidity, I wanted some freshness, and I had some cilantro to get rid of. Look at the cilantro crema that we did. Blended down serrano, blended down lime, blended down onion and garlic and sour cream. It's acidic, it's spicy, it is delicious. It's going to be nice and cold on top of this fresh, delicious tostada. Okay. Additionally, I wanted some sweetness. I wanted a more fresher vegetable component. This is my homemade Pico de Gallo. We salted the tomatoes. We drew out the excess moisture from it. We drained it off. We had some red onion. We soaked it in lime juice to get rid of the pungency. And then we added in garlic and serrano and cilantro. And now we have this incredible Pico de Gallo to go on top of these tostadas. And that is what I mean today, by the way, that we don't mess around. We're not using store-bought salsas. We're not using store-bought tortillas. Everything that you're seeing here has been made at home by using things that are left over, by using things that we've had around today. And that is the way that I want to aspire to cook at home. And now take a look for this delicious poached chicken. You can see that sheet of gelatin forming on top because of that delicious homemade chicken stock. We don't use store-bought chicken stock here either. We make everything from scratch by hand as often as we possibly can. Okay? It makes a world of a difference. We get such a special product that way. It's really, really night and day. I'm also now just going to be taking a second to wash off my station really quickly. Everybody, for those of you that have not already done so, please check out my Patreon. You can type an exclamation mark Patreon in the chat. I want to teach you all how to cook at home. In order to do that, I need a little bit of help. I want to keep this free for everybody to watch. But if you do have a little bit of excess income, please check out the Patreon. Please support it if you can. Any little bit helps. I want to be able to cover the grocery costs, and I want to be able to do this full time. Okay, so I'm going to wash off my knife. Look at my chicken. It's boiling. So we're going to turn it down, and we're going to rotate it to make sure it's also evenly heating. Okay? Evenly is the key to this. I'm washing off my knife quickly. And then we're going to actually walk through making today's tostadas. Does anybody have any questions for me in the meantime, by the way? It doesn't just have to be about this dish, it can be about anything that you would like. I'm also going to now set a timer for about 15 minutes or so. That's about how long it'll take for the chicken to poach. We're also going to be flipping this chicken. So you see this chicken? You want to gently pick it up with a pair of tongs, and you want to flip it over to make sure that it's just evenly cooking in this delicious, flavorful liquid. Right, so that there's no hot spots, so that there's no cool spots. Just flip the whole thing over. Lovely, 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 lovely. I'm here to help. I'm here to teach at the end of the day, right? I want to teach you all how to build an understanding of food. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people, they don't teach you how to build an understanding of food. They teach you how to stay engaged for very clickable content that makes you go, ooh, how to make a perfect steak. But they don't teach you how to understand and feel things. And that's what I want to do for all of you. I want to make cooking accessible and fun and exciting and interesting for all of you, you know? Okay, I'm going to wipe this off because I'm actually going to use this somewhere. Doesn't have to be like perfect. I just want to get rid of like all that tomatillo slime. We're going to be using these for the tostadas. Although a little bit of water would definitely help out. And then I'll clean it off properly afterwards. Washing this over the sink would be ideal. I think I just ran out of sheet trays. Right? I wish I had a couple more sheet trays for this today. But look at this chicken, everybody. Look at it. It's gently poaching. It is gently cooking. Only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to agitate the bottom to make sure that, remember all of that stuck fond, that we're just unsticking it from the bottom. Okay? Putting the chicken back in, we're tucking it in goodnight, but we're unsticking everything that we possibly can. And making sure that nothing is, that nothing is squelching down there. And we're not crushing the tomatillos yet, because again, we're going to gently cook this, and then we're going to blend it down. And it's going to be lovely together. It's going to be really good. Excellent. It's all coming together, everybody. We're going to have a really, really beautiful tinga by the end of this. So, Dolingo has asked, is there any downside to using tongs when cooking over a spatula? Yes. The beauty of a spatula is that it lets you really get under something. Let's say you have a sticky crust on something. Let's say you're doing something like a fried egg. What's really nice about a spatula is you can really get under there in a nice metal pan. Tongs, they let you grab something without needing to put something on top. Let's say you have something heavy when you're turning something with a spatula, and you try to flip it over. You use like your hand or something else for stability when you flip it. Right? It can get a little bit cumbersome. Okay. That is now bubbling, a little too aggressively once again. It's bubbling a little too aggressively for me. Okay, my sheet tray is mostly cleaned. I'll clean it off more after. Thank you, Kaze. I appreciate it. Okay, everybody, let's go ahead and make these tostadas. So, really quickly, let's talk about this. A lot of people, they make fried tostadas. They take a thing of oil and they fry them. And truth be told, it's faster. But let me tell you something. I don't want to do fried tostadas. Can somebody tell me why, in a home setting, I don't want to deep fry my tostadas? Can somebody give me that answer? as I lay these out on the sheet tray. Does somebody know why I really, really do not want to fry them? Yeah, that'll be good. Spread them out. It doesn't have to be like perfectly in contact with the pan. Okay, there we go. 5 tortillas. That's all I have left. Something with too much oil. Yes, absolutely. Let me tell you something right now. I hate frying things at home. I hate having to deal with high volumes of oil, or even something like a shallow fry, because you have to then dispose of it. Then you have to clean it up off of your pan that's then covered in oil. In a home setting, I think dealing with anything deep frying is incredibly annoying. So is the texture theoretically better than if we were to bake these? Yes, but that is a worthwhile trade-off. I don't really care about the health aspect. I don't really demonize oil saying like, oh, it's too much oil, it's too many calories. That's not my concern. My concern is it's a headache. It is a waste of time to deep fry things at home when you can't do like a million batches of something. So, really quickly, here's what we gotta do. These tortillas, if we were to bake them straight, they may puff up a little too much. We wanna make sure that they get nice and bubbly, but we don't want them to puff up too much. All I'm going to do is pierce these around a few times with a knife. This is going to stop them from bubbling too much. Okay? Because we want flat tostadas. We want it to be able to hold all of the ingredients. And if the tostadas aren't flat, it'll be difficult for them to just effectively hold anything. So just a couple of holes all the way around. And then one last one. So also follow the curve of the tortilla, right? If they like face up and like they're cupping like this is really nice to do them like this. Yeah, I'm happy to help. That's what I'm here for, isn't it? Okay, and now we're going to brush these with some oil. The oil is going to help really, really evenly conduct heat. I just have one notification I have to quickly get to. So sorry about that, everybody. 1 second here. Okay. So, everybody, all we have to do, we just have to brush these with some oil, hit it with some salt. The salt is actually, I think, pretty essential in something like this. The reason why I think the salt is essential is because the tortillas, I typically make them without any kind of salt whatsoever. If these are salted tortillas, then, feel free to do whatever you want to. But because I know for the fact these were unsalted, we're gonna hit them with a little bit of salt. So, I'm using a little bit of neutral oil here. In this case, a little bit of avocado oil. You can even spray on oil if you would like. I just have some oil in a container. And really quickly, I'm also just going to flip my chicken breasts again. I'm going to just flip them around, just make sure that they're evenly cooking as they poach. Okay, so that there's no side of them that is undercooked at all. Okay, now I'm gonna grab a little brush. Everybody, little brush. In fact, let's start by brushing them on this side first, and I'll explain why. So I don't have to like flip them over a million times when they're oily. So, little brush, and we're just going to brush each one with enough oil to cover it. And the oil is also going to help the salt stick to these, because otherwise the salt is going to just fall straight off. So oil it up, make it nice and easy for yourself. Oil it up. I'm thinking about that tweet about like, the Kellogg's cereal mascot wrestling while oiled up. That was a good tweet. That may be too niche of a Twitter reference for most of you. I don't know though. Okay. Is poaching like sous vide? Yes, it is salty. It's the same concept. That's such a good question. The beauty of poaching is that the lower your temperature is in general in cooking, the lower your temperature is, the more evenly something cooks. A sous vide is a lot colder than a poach, of course, because we can't really do that without having like the little fan and everything, but you have the right idea. You have the right idea. Okay, and now everybody just flip it over. Flip it over, flip it over, flip it over. And again, the oil is going to be essential to getting these things crispy. Otherwise, they're going to be maybe more like dry and cracker-like, and it's not going to evenly get crispy all the way around. You're going to have some that are like a little flexible. You're going to have some bits that are a little bit hard. Guys, don't skimp on the oil here. okay? It's going to pseudo fry these tortillas for us. And we're going to cook them for about 5 minutes on this side. We're going to flip them over, cook them for another 5 to 10. Just check on them, see how they're doing. But yeah, everybody, this is such a nice way to use up leftover homemade tortillas. Because instead of reheating them and making them all like dry and rubber, even though there's nice ways to avoid that, we're giving these things new life. They're ideal. They are ideal for this. Dry and old tortillas are perfect to make tostadas with. This is what I mean about cooking at home and building up a home ecosystem, everybody. It's about knowing all of the different ways that you can treat something and make the most out of it. Something being stale can be a blessing with things like this. It's its own little blessing. So just make sure that they're nicely separated, that they have enough air, and it's going in a 390-degree oven. 400 degrees, it doesn't really matter. You're basically making croutons. You're effectively making tortilla croutons, right? So don't overthink it. Don't sweat it too much. In it all goes. Some of it is falling off slightly. That's okay. Just gonna take it and pop it back in. Whoop. Come back, buddy. There you go. Put it in, and we're going to put it in there for about 5 minutes or so. That's how easy it is, everybody. You can also do tortilla chips this way, but when it comes to tortilla chips, I like them like properly fried. I don't do tortilla chips at home, although that would also be a really nice way of using up leftover and excess, tortillas. Okay, everybody, take a look. The chicken is continuing to gently poach. It's been gently poaching. It's been gently cooking this whole time. It has about 5 more minutes. The goal isn't for this thing to get fully cooked through. We're going to blend down the sauce. We're going to add in the salsa. We're going to season it up, and then we're going to reduce it, get it thick, and then add in our freshly shredded chicken. Can I please get a yes, chef, to make sure that all of you understand? And then we're going to assemble, and we're going to have something really amazing and special for us today. So again, gently cooking the chicken. It's okay for it to not be fully cooked. We just want it to get it nice and juicy. We're gonna shred it up, we're gonna blend it down. It's going to be amazing. I'm just going to get my stick blender station ready. In the meantime, does anybody have any questions? Also, welcome on in, YSH Booster. We're in the final leg. We're in the final stretch. We're going to assemble these things, and these are going to be the best tostadas that you've ever seen because we did everything from scratch. We are not messing around with these tostadas, excuse me. I do not mess around when it comes to the kitchen, everybody. I really, really do not. Okay, and the beauty of a stick blender is that it lets us blend it directly in the pot, right? We don't have to worry about putting it anywhere. So I'm just getting my stick blender station ready. I'm just getting that all ready to go. We have about 4 more minutes of cook time here, roughly. We're flipping the chicken in there every so often, right? I'm gonna do that again right now. Just take it and flip it around. Just take it and flip it around. The chicken tenders I'm actually gonna take out now. The chicken tenders, because they're so thin, they've fallen off of the rest of the chicken. I'm going to just pop them out. I don't want these chicken tenders to overcook either, so they don't need as long of a cook time as everything else does. I'm just searching for the other tender. I don't know where it went. Is it still attached? It's not. There it is. Okay, beautiful. Just get the tomatillo off of it and stuff. Lovely. Nice, juicy, delicious chicken tender. Okay, it's in its final stages of cooking, everybody. 3 more minutes. We take out the chicken, we shred it, we blend all of this stuff down. It's gonna be amazing. I'm really, really excited for this. Are you excited for this? Look at that broth. Homemade broth. Oh, charred tomatillos and everything. Yeah, this stuff is gonna be pretty incredible. And then we're going to be using up my leftover salsa verde that I have left over and sitting around. Once we blend it, we're going to add in the salsa verde, so this didn't overcook. And I just wanted to use that up because I had excess, I had extra. So I just have this chilling out now. We're gonna take a look at the tortillas in a second. It's gonna be good. Serena, you're always driving. Always driving here. It's gonna be really nice. Really excited for this today. Okay, I'm gonna have a sip of water. YSH. I've shifted my focus a little bit to some other things, and I also haven't been getting hired as much. I hope that answers your question. So, Duolingo has asked me, how does chef feel about using different broths with different meats? You can. You absolutely can. In fact, anybody that's ever said, you have to use chicken broth with chicken, you have to use beef broth with beef, there's so many different dishes where like beef is cooked in chicken broth. Use what you have, Duolingo. If you have beef broth, cook it in beef broth. It just changes the flavor. It's going to be ultimately a different dish. So, Salty asks, is using bouillons and stocks good for things like this, chef? I would say yes if you're not making your own homemade stock. I love having, powdered bouillon. This is the one that, actually I don't know where it is at the moment. I would use either like Better Than Bouillon or I would use Caldo de Pollo. Or like the, like the Latin American one. That's just like powdered and you spoon in. You can. But I already have homemade chicken stock, so it doesn't really make total sense to worry about that. Okay, everybody. The chicken is just about done now. We're going to pull it off. It's been cooking, it's been poaching slowly. And not boiling liquid, but in hot, hot liquid. Okay? We're going to pull it out and we're going to cool it down enough that we can then shred it up. Take out each of our chicken breasts. They've cooked long enough. And you want to make sure that there is no pieces of chicken breast remaining, because this whole thing has to now get blended up. So give it a little inspection, take a look. And that's also the beauty of not overcooking this chicken. It doesn't fall apart and it won't get blended in accidentally. Okay, there we go. Okay, everybody, you ready for this? So we're going to turn off our timer. We don't need that anymore. The only thing I'm going to do before I actually begin blending is we're going to take a look at our tortillas, the tostadas. Okay, we're going to make sure they're getting nice and beautifully crispy. Just slowly. It takes a little bit of time. Just gotta be nice and patient with these. Okay? You can see how firm they've gotten. We're going to flip them over to make sure that they're cooking evenly now. Just like this. Just like this. Okay, everybody? You can use your fingers. It's a, tostada. You can also just use some tongs if you would like. And now we're going to put this all back in for another 5 to 10 minutes until it's beautiful golden brown and crispy and exactly where you want it to be for some nice crispy tostadas. So kitchen timer, setting it on for 6-7 minutes, and then we'll just take a look at it and inspect it. Guys, we're just cooking it until it gets dry and crispy. And now, let's blend this whole thing. So, this is the beauty of a stick blender. We don't need a separate vessel to put everything in. The only thing, hey, chat, I need you all to listen to me right now. I need to hear a yes, chef, right now. I need to make sure that you see these holes on the blender? You need to make sure that those holes are submerged. If it's not submerged, it's going to come back and splash at you. So I'm going to start on a low speed because we have some chunks to puree first. But ow, like you see how much that's just splashed up at my hand? I just burnt myself. So if it's splashing up at you, instead of needing to always transfer it to a different vessel, you can just do this. Just tip it over. Tip it over. And we're starting just by breaking up the big chunks. And then we can move on to the higher speed once we've done so. And then we're going to boil all of this down. Break up all the chunks, everybody. You want this to be nice and smooth. Get in there. Get it all done. Just keep it going. It's going to splash up like this if your vessel is too wide. Okay? So just don't do the mistakes that I have. Be smart, be safe. And keep it going. Until it's nice and smooth all the way through. Gorgeous. Okay, just give it a little stir around. I'm looking for any big chunks. I'm looking for any big seeds. It's getting nice and creamy. It's getting nice and thick. Okay, a little bit more. I still see I saw a piece of chili still. That should just be about okay. I'm just inspecting it again. I'm looking through here, I'm looking, hey, are there any chunks? If there's chunks, we fix it. But it's getting nice and silky. It just takes time, everybody. Just be patient. Okay, let's stop. I don't think it needs to go any further at this point. I think that's perfect. Make sure that your plate that you've set aside for the blender is ready, so we can just take it out nicely and easily. There we go. And now we're going to put this back onto the heat, everybody. We put it back onto the heat because now the goal is to reduce this into a beautiful, thick sauce. Does anybody have any questions? Also, actually, now would be a good time to add back in the salsa verde from before that I wanted to use up for this. So all of this gorgeous salsa verde, that is the goal. I wanted to make the whole thing really nice and bright green, and it's going to thicken everything. And now we turn this onto a medium flame, and we're going to cook all of this down. We're going to cook it down until we get a beautiful, thick sauce with which to cover the shredded chicken in. There you go. Salsa verde going inside. Excellent. Put that away now. We have no more use for it. And also, actually, last touches. I'm going to now swap out spoons because this is the contaminated spoon. Last touches. Oregano. Remember my oregano, everybody. It's going to now infuse and make the whole thing really beautifully herbaceous. We didn't want to overcook it so it didn't turn bitter, and we didn't lose any of its flavor. So we're only adding it to basically the end of the cooking process. My chorizo. Remember my chorizo that we fried up? We want to now basically infuse that inside. We didn't want to blend this up with everything else, because if we blended it up, we would have gotten blended up sausage meat, right? We would have gotten blended up chorizo. It would have been an incredibly unpleasant texture. So turn on that heat, everybody. Let's get this thing boiling. Let's get this thing cooking. And once this heats up and I feel like safe that it's like decontaminated, we're going to give it a little taste for the seasoning. Can I please get a yes, chef? Please and thank you. Everybody, we're in the final stages of all of this. We're getting there. Everything is all coming together. We're going to have these really, really beautiful tostadas. The chicken has also now been adequately cooling down the whole time, cool enough that we can handle it and that we can then shred it up and then add it back inside. It's getting perfect. It's getting delicious. I'm really, really excited about this today. Everything from scratch, everybody. We don't cut any corners on the stream. We put in as much love, as much effort as these things deserve. Because even simple home cooking, when I'm cooking for myself, you get to have a really special product. Everybody, the first priority that you have to take care of is you at the end of the day. And if you don't cook for yourself well, then who will? You gotta take care of yourselves, you know? Do I cook like this for myself all the time? No. In many ways, the stream and having the pressure to do so is inspiring me to be more creative and to do more different things. And that is what I want to do. I just hope to diffuse some of that by proxy. Okay, everybody, let's take a look at the tortillas. Let's take a look at the tostadas that we have baking and getting really nice and crispy. We don't want them to scorch. We don't want them to burn. We just want to make sure that they're nice and beautifully crispy. Okay, some of them are buckling. Some of them are puffing in weird ways. Ooh, look at these tostadas. Look at these tostadas, everybody. I can tell you that they're not fully there. They're not 100% there. I'm going to just, you know what? I'm going to just keep them cooking. I'm going to give them a little rotation. Having them on a wire rack really helps them to bake up evenly. Okay? But they are getting really nice and crispy. They're getting golden. They're getting brown. Okay? I'm going to just put them back in for around 3 more minutes. Kitchen timer, 3 minutes. Excellent. And in they go. You don't want to burn these things. You just want to get them crispy, everybody. So mix this around. And this is where your sauce can burn, by the way. Your sauce can burn at the stage because it's so viscous. It's so thick at the bottom. So you just want to make sure that you're scraping it off. And now, let's also taste this. Don't worry about the salt. If you add in too much salt now, by the time that this reduces and loses volume, it may end up being too salty. I'm tasting for seasonings, I'm tasting for spices, and we'll only add salt in at the end when we add in chicken. Ooh. Guys, that is good. Oh, that is so good. That's beautiful. It's acidic, it's spicy, it's smoky, it's sweet. It has that meat flavor from the broth that we added, a homemade broth. It's just a little bit too loose right now. It has everything that you possibly want to then be able to season your chicken. Okay? So, let's go shred up our chicken as well. Head back over here to the table. We have these 2 chicken breasts. I might not actually end up adding all of it in because that's like a lot of, like you can see how much sauce we ended up making and we only have like this amount of chicken. So again, gently poached chicken, not boiled. It was gently poached. I'm just gonna take a fork, you can take a knife, you can use whatever method, you see fit, right? You can even just use your fingers and get in there and just shred up the whole thing. We let it rest so that none of the juices like really aggressively spill out or anything once we do start getting to the shredding stage. And you want it to be finely shredded enough that it picks up the sauce. So that's the beauty of a pulled pork, everybody. That is the beauty of a shredded chicken. You're creating all of these little gaps, essentially, for it to hold in the sauce. Can I please get a yes, chef? But you don't want it so fine that you don't feel any of the moisture in the chicken like immediately overcooks. You just want to be able to shred it up enough that it just soaks everything up. So I want to make sure that everybody's still paying attention and listening. From everybody watching, from everybody lurking. Okay? Also, by the way, my tortillas are about to be done, my tostadas. So I'm going to go ahead and just stop what I'm doing right now. I don't want my tostadas to burn or anything. So I'm just going to go back in and I'm going to go ahead and grab them. All right, everybody, out they come. I want y'all to take a look at my tostadas. Okay? Again, I really, really prefer oven-baked tostadas. Look at these things. Excellent. Gorgeous. And now we're just going to let them cool off. And it's important you let them cool off on a wire rack like this so that the bottoms don't get soggy. But as they cool off, they are going to just get progressively crispier. But that is perfect. Look at that. That's what you're looking for out of a tostada. Okay? The only issue is, you see how much this one buckled? I don't think I popped enough holes. The middle of it ended up inflating slightly. And I don't like inflation. So, ooh, ow, I burnt myself on the sheet tray. So just stir up your salsa for the chicken. Stir it up. You want to cook out all the raw flavor from it. Just stir it up a little bit, everybody. And make sure you're scraping up the sides of it. Okay? Excellent. Okay, so while that's cooking, I'm going to just drop the heat, make sure it doesn't burn. We're not going to need all of that salsa that we made because, again, we only have like this much chicken. So all I'm doing, everybody, once again, I'm just going through all of this and I'm tearing off big sheets, big fibers of this chicken. Follow the fibers of it, okay? Follow the fibers. Oop, that's a little bit of bone still left over. It's okay. Follow the fibers, follow it all. And get these nice shreds of chicken so that it can soak up that sauce properly. And then, everybody, it's going to be time to plate. Are you excited to see how this comes out? Are you excited to see the final product? I'm excited. I'm excited to eat. Ooh, it's already 7:22. Wow. I really filled up a lot of time with this today. Okay. And I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of that salsa, by the way. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We always do, don't we? We always do. Okay. Shredding up the chicken. Shredding it up. Peeling it off. Peeling it off. Peeling it off. Nice and juicy, nice and succulent, because again, we didn't overcook it. We didn't boil it to death. We just poached it really gently in that cooking liquid. Okay. Almost done, everybody. Ooh. A little bit of overcooked chicken over there. No belly claws. No, I don't have any of the... I don't think those things are great. They just tear it. We're just pulling apart every single fiber of the chicken. Again, this is the texture that you're looking for. You're not looking for this to be shredded into oblivion. Okay? If it's shredded too much, it's all of the moisture, all the succulence is gone. You lose the texture, you lose the beauty of this chicken. It's a nice chicken. Treat it with respect. Treat it with respect. Okay, and I'm just going through this. I'm getting rid of any of the really, really big chunks. No slap chop either, guys. No slap chops allowed here. Those things are brutal. Yeah, those things are pretty bad. Do not love them. I do not love them. Okay, so My salsa, I'm confident with the texture of it now. I want you all to take a look at how much we've reduced it. So come back to the stove, come back to the stove. Look at how much it's reduced. We don't want to push it anymore because otherwise it just gets too thick. It gets too like unpleasant, really. Okay, so I'm just scraping off the bottom. And now we're going to give this another taste. And now we get to adjust the salinity. It needs some salt. But otherwise, everything there is perfect. It has so much flavor. Okay, salt. Hello, Clementine. Welcome on in. Hello, hello. Guys, big pinch of salt. Big pinch of salt. We want the salsa nice and seasoned. Okay? We want it nice and seasoned. And then we're just going to go to a different saucepan, to a separate saucepan. We're going to add in some of the salsa, of course. Right in here, we're going to add in a big generous ladle of my salsa that we've made, that we've prepared. Ooh, did some garlic not get fully like pureed or something? I think that's what happened. Okay, just ladle that in. And now everybody, we're going to add in, also hello Dr. Slowbro. We're going to add in all of my gorgeous shredded chicken. Just to combine everything. And we're going to really mix it through. The idea here, the intention, is for all of that salsa to penetrate the different fibers in the different space occupied by the chicken. You see how dry this is? That's not what we're looking for. We need another layer of sauce going in. A little bit more sauce. And we turn it back onto the heat, and now we're basically just stirring this whole thing around. And we're getting the chicken to hold on to all of this salsa in its, in like basically the space between the fibers. Okay? That's the idea, that's the intention. Let's execute on it. We're just gonna heat the chicken back up through. We're going to taste it for seasoning. We're going to make sure that it's fully cooked. And then everybody, we're going to plate. We have done every single component. We have done the tinga, we have done the pico de gallo, we have done everything. So I'm just now doing my final touch, which is bringing this chicken together. And I need it to basically soak up the salsa. That is the goal. So let's start pulling things out. Also, thank you, Lily. Everybody, let's start pulling out all of my different components for today. And remember, we did everything here from scratch. Every single last thing. Don't you forget it. I'm not gonna let you forget it. So, take a look, take a look, take a look. This is my Serrano Crema. I'm gonna put a spoon in there just to make sure that we can easily scoop things out of it. This is my Serrano Crema. Sour cream, cilantro, lime juice. Beautiful. Look at it. Flavorful, spicy, and acidic. This is my homemade Pico de Gallo. Nice and fresh, a little bit of sweetness from the onion and the tomato as well in that form. My queso fresco. Everybody, this cheese, this queso fresco, we made it ourselves. We did this cheese on Wednesday. And now I wanted to just put some on top of my beautiful tostadas. So these are all of my different garnishes. Those are all of my different little components. And now I'm going to grab a nice big plate. Remember, pay attention to the chicken. Don't leave it alone for too long, okay? We're just basically getting the chicken to shred up nicely, to incorporate, and now it's basically soaking up all of that beautiful salsa. Everybody, are you ready to plate? Are you ready to plate? I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, from everybody watching. Also, Possum, thank you so much. It's very sweet of you. I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, from everybody watching if you want to, if it's time to plate. Okay. So, everybody take a look. These are my homemade tostadas. I made these tortillas myself on Wednesday, and then we took these stale tortillas and then we made them really, really beautifully crispy in the oven. Okay, we can turn off the heat on our chicken now. Everybody, let's plate. Let's plate this bad boy. I'm excited. So, my gorgeous chicken. Nice and juicy, covered in all that salsa. And now we're just going to cover it generously with all that meat. Oh, come on, buddy. Back on you go. There you go. And the crispy tostada just holds up to that succulent, juicy chicken. Covered in that salsa so well. Okay, everybody. Now, here we go. Doesn't look that impressive yet, but wait, hold on. We're getting there. My Pico de Gallo. I'm spooning some on from up high so that it distributes really, really nicely. Hopefully it looks nice by the end of it. We'll see. All of my Pico de Gallo. Okay. Nice and fresh. Okay. And now, we add in, we're going to do some of my queso fresco. Just dot it over the top, cover it up. Oop. For that creaminess, for that soft, delicious cheese. There you go. Okay, and one more. Just using my fingers to really, really help break it up and get it along with everybody. Okay, one last component, everybody. And now it's time to hit it with some of that really, really lovely crema that we did. My presentation's a little messier than I had intended, but that's okay. My crema. Going on now. Just for that last little bit of acidity, that spice, that creaminess. Piled up nice and high. There we go. Maybe it's not my best plating, but I'm proud of every single one of my components here. Everybody, we have done it. These are my chorizo tinga tostadas. So, let's do one last recap. I made everything here. The whole point of the stream was to use up my existing leftovers. I had some tortillas. So guess what? Homemade tortillas. We made tostadas out of them by baking them. We baked them with a little bit of oil. We got them really nice and crispy. We made some tinga. We had a whole chicken. We broke it down. We took all of the bones and made this really delicious, lovely stock out of it. Then we took some chorizo and then we fried it. And we got all the chorizo fat. We took out the chorizo. Then we added some red onions into the fat. We added in some garlic and some cumin. Then I charred tomatillos, I charred some serranos, and I charred some green olive chilies. And I then added it in. I added in my chicken with the broth to let it gently poach. Took it out, shredded the chicken, blended the sauce. We made some pico de gallo with some tomatoes, some onions, some cilantro, some lime. We made our crema here by using some sour cream, by using some cilantro, by using some chili, some garlic, some onion. And then we also have our own homemade leftover queso fresco. I made my own cheese for this. Everybody, beautifully crispy. Let's have a bite. Oh, that's really good. Oh, that is lovely. That is incredible, everybody. That is crispy, and it's creamy, and it's acidic, and it's spicy. It has so much flavor. Everything here was handmade. We did everything. From the tortillas to the cheese, we did every single last component. Chicken is juicy. There's so much flavor. There's no shortage of flavor here. That's so good. The freshness from the pico de gallo, the creaminess from the crema. And that cheese is like so cold, it's like, that cheese is like refreshing. And then you have like the juicy, saucy meat. If you have stale leftover tortillas, you should be making tostadas. It's so easy. That is good. Oh, it is spicy. We have so many chilies in this. Okay, everybody. That's going to do it for today. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you for being here. If you haven't checked out the Patreon, type in exclamation mark Patreon to the chat. I need some water to cool off. Scroll down, go into my About section. Please support the streams. Please support what we're doing here. Thank you so much, everybody. Next stream is going to be this Sunday, 7 p.m. EST. Normally 5, 7 p.m. this one. Mark it off on your calendars. 7 p.m. because I have to do Brawlhalla that day. We're going to be signing off. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. I hope you all enjoyed the show today. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your Friday night. Be safe, stay safe, and take care. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye-bye.